be after last week. I think everyone, you know, that follows football and have been following the Titans want to see how well or not well Will Levis does this upcoming week. Tonight. I'm saying this upcoming week tonight. So I'm excited. Get a chance to see the Titans and then flip over a little bit after that and watch the Nashville Predators, put one on the Kraken. I'm calling it. They're going to put one on the Kraken. So there you go.
Got to get it cracking.
Exactly.
Willy joins us from Seattle. Willy, how we doing?
I like to hear it, guys. I like to hear it. It's a rainy day in Seattle. I know you guys are really surprised.
Are you serious? It's raining in Seattle?
Yeah. It does tend to do that from time to time over here. But, all is well out here. It's going to be a great sports night. It is one of those nights where you're flipping the channels and hoping for good things for both of the local teams. I'll be heading to the morning skate here in a little bit at the Climate Pledge Arena. And this will be the 32nd and last, I shouldn't say last because you never know. Expansion could be coming up down the road. But this will be an arena that I've never called a game in. Last year, both of the games were nationally broadcast, so I was just a spectator. But big game tonight for both teams and looking forward to it.
So, Willie, this is the only arena you haven't called a game in.
Yes, of the 32 current buildings. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
32 of 32 for now.
30.
Absolutely.
Yep. So now when Elliot has his 32 thoughts, I can weigh in on all 32.
He's got his 32 thoughts. You've got your 32 arenas.
Yep.
And D-Mase, you mentioned it. Everyone's going to be looking at Will Levis. All eyes have been really on Will Levis all week long. He's been the topic of conversation. I was even chatting with a bunch of SEC football people. The first thing they brought up to me was, how about Will Levis? What's everybody in Nashville talking about with Will Levis? And those are a bunch of people who could probably care less about the NFL. So all eyes are going to continue to be on Will Levis, and not just because of the amazing performance he had this past week, but because he's a rookie quarterback, and he's probably more likely than not your quarterback moving forward, your quarterback of the future. But I've been feeling a little bit guilty. Is it wrong of me to kind of expect Will Levis to struggle a little bit tonight? Like, is it wrong of me to just go ahead and have that, go into this game in that frame of mind?
I think we all, because I don't think nobody, even if, it was Patrick Mahomes, his first start, just go down the list of quarterbacks who have had great careers or who are now just starting to build their career. That second start is always that, especially if they did extremely well the first start. The second start is it's gonna come back down to earth. We just hope it doesn't come back down to earth fast and crash. We hope it has a gradual landing, and just sits there. So I understand why you are you feel the way you feel. And we've been talking about it all this week, not getting too high, not getting too low. I think the young man, he's going to have his moments. And tell me if you agree with this, Willie. I don't think it's so much about Will Levis. I think we need to pay attention to Tim Kelly and how he calls this game, knowing that it's his second start in a rush week against a team from a statistical standpoint. It's not the Steeler team of old, but you're getting Hayward back. You got T.J. Watt. Those linebackers, I'm going to tell you, those linebackers are good. And they cause turnovers. So I want to see how Tim Kelly calls this game. Will he be aggressive like he was last week, knowing Atlanta played a lot of single high, or will he sort of, hey, it's a short week, let's rely more on Derrick Henry and do more play action rather than, just taking the ball straight up and drop back and throwing the football?
Yeah, I'm trying to temper my expectations as well. I expect a great performance by the Steeler defense tonight. I feel like they're gonna make it tough on Levis. That's why I think I'm trying to be realistic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going back to a little bit what I said last week. If he has some moments, right, if he can hold up under the pressure and overcome some rough times, either it's 3 or 4 straight series where you don't get anything done, maybe you throw a pick or you make a mistake. Can he get through it and have some good moments and keep his team in the game? It'd be hard to expect them to get up into the high 20s in points. That's the Steelers play those grinder games like the Titans often do. So can they support him? I think that's a great point, D-Mase. Can Tim Kelly do some good things to support him? Can some of the other role players step up and make a play or two? And can they support him with a good running game? And maybe the biggest thing is, can they do a decent job of pass protection? Because that, I thought, was the key to everything last week. They really protected him well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, when I say, is it fair for me to expect him to struggle a little bit? I think that's more fair than expecting Will Levis to repeat what he did last Sunday. I think it is fair. And it's setting fair expectations for Will Levis to understand that, hey, you're not going to throw 4 touchdowns every single game. Mm-hmm. You're going up against a much better defense, a Pittsburgh defense with TJ Watt, for crying out loud, that gets to the quarterback. Last week against Atlanta, and this isn't me taking anything away from Will Levis's performance against Atlanta, but that's an Atlanta defense that just simply does not get to the quarterback the same way that TJ Watt and Pittsburgh do. Short week, another aspect of it, on the road in a tough place to play. So I think all of those factors, and also understanding that your first start in the NFL does not define what you are going to do for the rest of your career, nor does it define your career. Your second start will not define what you do in your career and your entire career as a whole. So if Will Levis comes out, and look, I'm not expecting him to look horrible. I surely don't hope he looks horrible, but I'm going to acknowledge the possibility and maybe even likelihood that he struggles a good bit. If he does, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like that is okay. You're not going to get 4 touchdowns every single week. You're going to see the young guys struggle. But like what you've been saying all week, D-Mase, let me see how you can bounce back from that. After a turnover, in adversity, in difficult situations, let me see how you react. As a young quarterback, that's all I really need. Wins and losses absolutely are great. 4 touchdowns in a game, I'll take that every single week. That's not realistic.
No, it's not. But you just try to do enough around him to support him, to keep him, not worrying about certain things, meaning the offensive line. Now, it's going to be a tough task for the offensive line tonight, not having Hubbard, and then, Steelers get Hayward back. They got TJ Watt. Like I said, those linebackers, they're good. Now, Pittsburgh don't have Fitzpatrick in the back on their back end, and their safeties, one of their better players. But there's still a defense that tries to disguise things, try to confuse quarterbacks, let alone a young quarterback. So, again, I go back to what will Tim Kelly's game plan look like, especially early in the game, coming off a short week. Pittsburgh, they're hungry for a victory. They get one of their best players back, so I know they're going to be amped about that. But how do Tim Kelly call this game for this young quarterback? Again, does he go out and be aggressive like he did last week, or is he going to taper it down some, knowing it's a short week, and allow his veteran guys to sort of lead the way? D. Henry, D-Hop, even though he's dealing with a toe injury. Chris Moore, he needs to be a veteran guy that steps up. Nick Westbrook-Akine, and then obviously the offensive line. But this game really, for me, is a Tim Kelly game. This is a game he needs to earn his money. Again, a short week, young quarterback. What type of game plan are you putting together for a young quarterback against a historically really, really good defense? They get a lot of takeaways. That game, Jacksonville tried to give them the game last week because Pittsburgh was taking the ball away from them so many times. They just couldn't get it done. But, again, I go back to Tim Kelly. He needs to earn this. This is another game where he needs to earn that paycheck. How do you call a game for a young quarterback on a short week?
Do you guys think the game plan is going to be a little bit of a punt is good? And I don't mean, you're not trying to score, but
Mm-hmm.
like if you knew that that you're just going to have some series where it's going to look ugly and you have a good punter, which I think they do, as long as he doesn't hit the line drive and, and that is a concern, right? If you're going to play this way, but I think no turnovers is a plus, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you just could say we're not going to turn the ball over, we feel like you guys can't score and we'll be more opportunistic. I wonder if that's the approach tonight.
I would take that approach
Mm-hmm.
against this defense, especially with Hayward coming back in tandem with the TJ Watt. I would take that approach. Like, punting's okay,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not fun football to watch necessarily. It's
Do we want fun or do we want victories?
I'll take a gross victory.
Exactly.
A boring snooze fest of a 9-6 kind of victory. And against two good defenses, it very well could play out like that, where it's Nick Folk, get out there.
Earn your money,
Ryan
man.
Stonehouse, lob a punt between the 10, whatever you can do. I would take that approach because if you have to account for the Pittsburgh defense is going to make your life difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to make your life hard. And like you alluded to, if you punt, that means you didn't turn it over.
Yeah.
And I'll take that.
Yeah, so it's going to have to be a team effort from an offensive standpoint. And also, because of the way Pittsburgh play. Now, I don't know if they're going to take Joey Porter Jr. and, sort of shadow him with D-Hop. The games that I watched, they didn't do it so much, but he is their best corner.
He's a rookie.
Yeah, his completion rate is very low. He's a big, long, tall, physical guy when he needs to be 6'2". If you watched him at Penn State, I thought he was a top 2 or 3 corner coming out. But he allows them to do some things that they probably want to do even more because his ability to cover one guy. But then again, I don't know if they're going to allow, Porter Jr. to roam around with D-Hop. But with that being said, that's where these other guys come into play. Nick Westbrook-Akine. I'm not sure about Chris Moore. Will he play? Will he not play? He didn't practice much this week, but I do anticipate him playing. So those guys need to step up and make plays for the young quarterback. Chikakonkwo, keep going back to him. He needs to step up. Those linebackers are not great in coverage. So this is a game where he potentially can insert himself into this offense and allow the young quarterback to feel comfortable with throwing him the football. So it's not like the old Pittsburgh and Tennessee battles where you just knew, like, man, both defenses are staunch. They're not going to let you run the football. It's not that type of game. It's not.
And those aren't those type of teams.
Because both teams, have had their struggles stopping the run. But I think it's a game where you got to be very careful because as a coordinator and a quarterback, because Pittsburgh, they force you into throwing turnovers at times, and they've gotten their fair share of turnovers. So that's why I just continue to go back to Tim Kelly. What type of game are you going to call for this young quarterback against a defense that's historically a great defense, but they're not playing up to that level this season as we sit at.
But especially this game, I think, and that is the explosive plays. I'll go back to that second. It was week 2, and it was the Browns and the Steelers. It was unfortunately the game that Nick Chubb got hurt, and that's what everybody's talking about. But it was another just smothering performance by the Browns defense. The Steeler offense really didn't get much done, except they hit a couple of huge plays down the field, and that was their offense, basically. And that was enough for them to win. That on both sides of the ball, to me, is big. Can you keep Pickens from getting loose and having a play or two like that? The Titans have been susceptible at times like that for plays. Pass interferences down the field, things like that, cheap yards that because the Steelers, I think, have trouble. They definitely have trouble driving the football 75 yards, right? They're not that type of team. They need big plays, and if the Titans can prevent that, that's big. And then on the other side, what a great game it would be if you could get Burks behind the defense one time, like that play against the Chargers. That would be a huge, huge element if they could find a way to get one or two of those.
And I think one element of the game against Atlanta last week that rightfully so has been overshadowed by Will Levis is how Derrick Henry was used. And also Tajay Spears, just the run game in general. Where I thought that Derrick Henry had over 100 yards on Sunday, did he not? He had 22 carries for just
22
over
for 101.
So
yeah.
I felt like, in my opinion, that was kind of a quiet 101. Where there wasn't one of those big 40, 50-yard Derrick Henry runs, but it was just give the ball to Derrick, let him pick up 4, 5, 6 here and there. That helped this Titans offense set up the pass so well. That they were able to get this offense in a comfortable enough position where Will Levis could air it out. I know that right now Pittsburgh doesn't have the best run defense statistically. Like, they're giving up just shy of 5 yards a crack. But add Hayward back into the equation and understanding that this Pittsburgh's defense is probably, their approach is probably going to be, we're not going to let Derrick Henry beat us. They'll probably they'll stack the box, maybe sell out a good bit to stop the run. Without a consistent run game, what does this pass game look like with Will Levis?
If you don't have a run game, it makes it very hard for the quarterback, any quarterback, let alone a rookie quarterback getting his second start. Because what happens is you become one-dimensional. And now those two really great defensive ends that they have, they get to pin their ears back, and they get to go after the passer. So they're going to have to be able to establish some type of run game. And I think they will be. Again, if Derrick Henry has a game like he did last week, that's the type of game you want against Pittsburgh. Grind it out, yardage, just controlling the clock. It'd be great to have Derrick Henry, transformed into Derrick Henry 2 or 3 years ago where he's popping off 40 and 50-yarders and 30-yarders. That's great, and I hope he can do that. But if he can't get those big chunk yardage, 3 here, 5 here, 6 here, 2 here, 3 here, 5, 4. So he's grinding out those yardage, and he's slowing down the game for a young quarterback. This game doesn't need to be sped up. It needs to be slowed down and controlled. And how do you do that? With Derrick Henry and his, like I just said, just methodical running. It doesn't have to be anything great. But then you look up at the stat sheet at the end of the game. He has 25, 26 carries for, $110 or $120 with a touchdown. And you're like, man, I thought he had less than that.
When did that happen?
Exactly. So that's the type of game you want to have.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And if you can do that against the Steelers, I'll be impressed. And if you look, Henry had a long run of 14 yards, but he still averaged 4.6 yards per carry. So that tells you that there were a lot of good 5-6 yard runs in there, right? There weren't a ton of minuses, and they were staying on time, and that's a big thing for this offense. They even threw it to him a couple of times, those little simple passes on 1st and 2nd down. Didn't get anything big, but, he had significant gains and, again, led them to 2nd and 4 or 3rd and 2. That is what you want for the rookie quarterback. I also think this, when this offense has been at its best, it definitely happened last week. Levis's arm has got to be something that's in the back of your mind as a Steeler defense. He can get it down the field, right? If you get a guy down there, he can make the throw. Like you said, Derek, he makes every throw. And I think it's not like Tannehill has a bad arm or anything like that, but Levis has a cannon. And that stretches a defense, right? So if you can take a couple shots there and loosen them up and hit 1 or 2 of them, I think that's something you got to try, especially those early play actions where you get the defense in that stacked box. You might have a shot or 2 there.
And I think that's key here, too, is it presents a threat in the passing game that you might not necessarily have had with Ryan Tannehill. And the second thing, too, is Will Levis can escape pressure.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind that's going to be pressure coming from TJ freaking Watt. So, that's you can't expect him to evade every single sack or all the pressure that comes at him. And he's going to make a bad mistake or two. He's going to, because that's what rookie quarterbacks do. That's what environments like that do. And that's what defensive players like Cam Hayward and TJ Watt do. It's just that is just a matter of fact. But Will Levis's legs and ability to escape pressure, I think that also is another factor that's going to come into play here that maybe we didn't see as much last week. I mean, the Falcons still got, 2 sacks and a handful of quarterback hits. Like, they still got to the quarterback a good bit. Expect more of that pressure to come from the Steelers. But I am intrigued to see what kind of plays Will Levis can make and pressure he can escape.
That move the pocket, on the pass to Nick Westbrook-Akine, Derek, I wonder if you can do a little bit more of that too. I mean, Levis seemed very comfortable doing that, and they were not doing that at all with Tannehill, which tells me that the ankle surgery, the tightrope, all that, it definitely limited compared to what we used to see from Tannehill. They did not use his legs much at all in the game plan. I think you got to do that today. You can't have him be a sitting target in the pocket because simply Dillard can't block those guys, right? You've got to give them a chance by moving them around some and keeping the defense on their heels a bit, I think.
You just cannot let TJ Watt take the game over. You can't, I mean.
Not at all.
You let Myles Garrett take the game over against Cleveland. I didn't love how much they abandoned the run against Cleveland. It's not going to be pretty. There's going to be Derrick Henry gains of 2, Derrick Henry loss of 1, Derrick Henry gain of 3. It's not going to be the prettiest, sexiest run game. But don't let TJ Watt kill you and stay consistent in the run game. But what I want to get into coming up next is who are going to be the most important factors for Will Levis to not be vulnerable, to have a successful night tonight. D-Mase mentioned Tim Kelly. Want to get into that and some other players that we'll see that can also help Will Levis out tonight as well. And, of course, your thoughts. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, we're brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet.
Coming on in, Forsberg, he scores! Nationals in Seattle on a Predators game day for Game 2 of a 5-game road trip against the Kraken, who the Predators shut out in the home opener 2 weeks ago today at Bridgestone Arena. Chase McCabe will have pregame coverage at 8 o'clock. Hal Gill and I will call the game at 9 p.m.
Your home for Smashville is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
All right, looking forward to that game tonight here in Seattle. As I'm hanging out here, I want to tell you once again about Lone Pronto's plan for you to get on good, solid financial footing for 2024 or for the holiday season. You got time here. And the beauty of Lone Pronto's program, the Express Equity Line of Credit, is if you need cash in just as little as 5 days, a week, 10 days, you can get this stuff quick to address your financial needs heading into the holidays. You need to pay off a credit card bill. You need to pay off a personal loan, a car payment, start a home improvement project. All of these things, you can access the cash from your home's equity and keep your primary mortgage intact. That's very important. You want to keep that primary mortgage intact. And so if you got a rate around 3%, that's protected. And with Lone Pronto's Express Equity Line program, 90% of the time, there's no need for an appraisal. It's a streamlined process so you can get your money fast to get those tasks done before the new year hits. Call Lone Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
I bought jewelry in New York, I bought jewelry in LA, I bought jewelry in South Beach, I bought jewelry internationally.
Business owner Adam Rothberg knows jewelry. And of all the stores he shopped over the years, his number one place to go? It's right here, Genesis Diamonds.
There's not a real big reason to go visit a lot of other jewelry stores. Everything that you hope to find everywhere else, you may get bits and pieces of it from others, but you come here and it's a one-stop shop. It's everything that you need to have.
From the largest selection of GIA certified diamonds to the top designer brands in the world to a stunning selection of luxury pre-owned pre-owned Rolexes.
You really don't need to go anywhere else. Quality of the pieces, obviously a large selection, a selection that fits into a lot of people's budget, and then obviously good counsel and good advocacy for the people that work here that actually know the pieces and know the jewelry business.
And who aren't paid on commission.
They're not pushy. No hard sell.
All this plus the strongest warranties and guarantees in the jewelry industry, plus nationwide price protection and free service for life on any purchase.
Service you get from Genesis is second to none.
Come discover the store that's got it all. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. It's getting colder quickly, and a lot of you are probably firing up the heater for the first time this season. If your system is older or having lots of issues keeping your home warm already, it's probably time for an HVAC replacement. There's no better time to replace your system than right now. Hiller is having their biggest sale ever on select HVAC systems. Get up to $2,600 off a new system until November 15th. This is the biggest discount they've had in years. That's Hiller. Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Vanderbilt Commodore fans, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, along with 94.9 The Fan, is your new home for broadcast of games and the Commodore Hour on Monday evenings. Catch all the action for football, men's and women's basketball, and baseball all season long. Go Doors!
Let's see. That one. Wait, I didn't see this one.
We apologize. When you have as many microbrews on tap as we do, we know it can be hard to make a decision. Don't worry, we're patient.
Wow, let me see here.
Bar lines at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Incredible apps and salads, delectable burgers and wraps featuring local Tennessee whiskey and local brews on tap and live music 7 days a week. The decision is obvious. Bar lines at the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's Reunion Weekend as Vanderbilt football takes on Auburn at First Bank Stadium. Kickoff at 3, pregame coverage at 1:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 94.9 The Fan and the Fan app.
Hey, it's ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck on Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Whenever you talk about like Will Levis, obviously you're on the defensive side of the ball for most of your career. I assume all of it, coaching defense? Yes. 36 years coaching on defense side of the ball, 18 in the NFL. Will Levis comes out of nowhere, seemingly, and has a monster game. We're all incredibly happy for him, especially with everything that happened. And I think revenge body season for Will Levis as well in his personal life, not 100% sure. I think that made its way around the internet as well. For him to come out, ball out in his first game, obviously awesome for him and for the future of the Titans. Vrabel's obviously coming, I mean, he hasn't really said anything, but Shefty came on and said, Will Levis plays good. It's his job. It's his job. It's his job. They're basically looking at the future with him. For the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, is one game enough to know what type of guy this guy's going to be as a quarterback in the NFL? Is there still the surprise potentially that we don't have a book on Will Levis on the defensive side of most of these teams?
That's a great point. And yeah, there still is. So they've watched all the college tape. They've talked to their scouts who evaluated this kid coming out. We all saw the talent, the arm that this guy, I mean, he's got a cannon, right? Yeah. And then the touch, the dimes that he dropped to D-Hop, unbelievable.
When he was coming out for the combine, didn't he say, I got a cannon, I'm going to show it off?
Yes. Oh,
he actually said that.
And he's got confidence, he's got swag, and he's got a chip on his shoulder. You know, he sat in that green room for
2 nights.
Long time.
I mean, a long, long time, right? So you know that festered.
Welcome. Did Will Levis say at the combine that he has a cannon?
He does.
He does. I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Not at all.
But he is Don Juan as well.
Yeah, we all saw him in the green room with his hot mom and sisters and girlfriend. Rich Gannon.
I mean, there was more said about this guy from all angles. It's unbelievable, right? And so I do get that chip on your shoulder thing, right? And on top of the whole draft thing, then he was kind of sitting behind the scenes. Nobody was talking about him. Nobody saw him or anything for about 2 months, right? And then here he is.
Yeah, he's been in the lab.
Yeah.
Cooking things up for his debut against the Falcons. And it paid off. So whether it's the cannon and the chip on his shoulder, whatever it is, now all eyes are on Will Levis. Now you can't say you are the underrated or disrespected quarterback that fell to day 2. Now it's your job. That was Chuck.
Don't you think it was a good thing, guys, that he did go away for a while, because the microscope had to be wearing on him, right? Mm-hmm. And it had to sort of bug him too. Like, man, I whether he wanted it or not, I think it was probably good that completely the spotlight turned in another direction, and he could kind of go into the lab and get lost for a while, because it looks pretty clear that, at least so far, there's some signs that he was working pretty hard behind the scenes to get better and be ready for this moment.
And he should have been.
Yeah, I mean, sports has a funny way of humbling, whether it be, during the game or, the draft. And, when you go into that phase of your life and you're on cloud nine, and some guys, get knocked down a peg, and some guys that, are struggling, they get themselves in a position they get drafted by a team, and then they go in there and do the job, and then all of a sudden they feel good about themselves. So, like you said, Willie, maybe that was a good thing for him. I'm sure he didn't like it, and he would have rather not have learned that lesson. But I think it was a lesson that he needed to learn. This sport will humble you very, very quickly. And he got humbled at the draft. And I know that's still in the back of his mind. It has to be. Hell, it was in the back of my mind, and I played for 15 years. So I know it's in the back of his mind when you're projected as a first rounder, high pick, and all of a sudden you don't get picked into the second round. That has to humble you. But it also should make you, and it seems like it's done that for Will Levis, make you go back into the lab and really put your head in the book and dissect and absorb everything. So when you get your opportunity, you're ready from a mental standpoint, because again, he has all the physical tools. It's the mental aspect of this game for the quarterbacks that they need to get over. And he started off well. Now let's see if he can kind of keep it going.
Yeah, we're just getting started. But Caroline, remember what Mike Vrabel did from the start. The very first OTA, Mike Vrabel said, Will Levis is the third-string quarterback. Mm-hmm. Malik Willis is the second-string quarterback. And that held all the way through last week, right? Malik Willis was dressing as the second quarterback. So I think they made it a point to make Will Levis earn the opportunity, right? And I think that maybe set the tone for what we're talking about here. I don't want to see it's not about the social media stuff. Let's teach this kid. We know he's got the swag inside of him, right? We know he's got that competitive. We've seen it, right? But let's kind of make sure he sees the priorities and where he's got to get to be ready for when he takes the center stage. I don't think it would have been a good thing for him to have any kind of look at me kind of stuff where people keep playing into the mayonnaise thing and all the things that we were talking about at the draft. I think it's awesome that that all went away. And maybe it was a little bit because, like you said, Derek, they made it a point to say, you're starting from the bottom, and you got to work your way up to it. We're not handing you anything.
Charles Robinson was on with Robbie and Rexrode this morning, and he talked about how Mike Vrabel might be the perfect coach for Will Levis. He referenced the video, I believe TD put it out there on Twitter, of Will Levis walking into the tunnel. Mike Vrabel talked to him, and it was kind of an awkward exchange where Mike Vrabel is just kind of talking very matter-of-fact to him, and Will Levis nods, turns around, and walks away. And I think Titans fans read into that like, Mike Vrabel hates Will Levis, that he's not, embracing him with a big old hug and a big high five and a gold star. But Charles Robinson's point was one of the knocks on Will Levis throughout the draft process. And look, I don't know Will Levis. I don't know if this is true or not. But he said a lot of GMs and head coaches across the league maybe were turned off by a sense of arrogance that they may have gotten from Will Levis. A certain sense of self-confidence that could have been misportrayed as self-absorbed. And maybe that's one of the reasons why he started to fall, is GMs were turned off by his self-confidence. And Charles' point was Mike Vrabel is not the coach that's going to give you flowers. Mike Vrabel's not the kind of coach that's going to blow sunshine up everyone's behind. He's going to keep everyone very measured. He always makes it about the team. One of the first questions he was asked in his press conference earlier this week was about Will Levis, and he made it about a good team win. He's done that with Derrick Henry. He does that with Ryan Tannehill. He has done that. any big game that an individual player has, it always makes it about the team. And maybe Will Levis needed to be knocked down a peg. Maybe Will Levis needed that coach to say, hey, look, you were one of 32.
Yes, I don't know if it's so much
52,
that.
rather. And I don't know. That was just the point that Charles Robinson was making.
I think it's more so of just, because he knows how this league is.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, you have a great game today, but tomorrow it could be a different story. I don't want you to he wants to get him used to just being on an even keel. Now, you can be fired up and everything else, but when you're in the fire and you're fighting, you need to be even keel. You need to be under control. Everybody needs to look at you and say, okay, my quarterback's under control, we're good. They don't need to see you frantic and, doing some of these things that may look as if you don't know what's going on or you're nervous. He wants to keep him even keel because that's the way Mike is. And it seems like that's the way this team is. Listen, as far as the perceived arrogance and all that other stuff, listen, if you can prove it out on the field, be who you are. As long as when you step across those lines, you're playing your tail off. Be who you are. You get in trouble because some players get in trouble because they have this big persona, but their game's small. You can't have a big persona in a small game. If you're going to have a big persona, you need to have a big game as well. Listen, I played with a bunch of guys that had big personas, but they also had big games too. They step on the field, and you know exactly what you're getting out of them.
Joe Burrow, I think, is a good example of that, with the fur coat and the sunglasses and the flashy flash.
And nobody
but you can back it up.
And nobody. And see, here's the thing. If Will Levis was at Kentucky and they went 11-1 and was in the college football playoff both years, they wouldn't talk about that perceived arrogance. Because you know who had the same perceived arrogance? Joe Burrow. But Joe Burrow was winning.
When you're not winning, numbers. It's arrogance. When you're winning, it's confidence and swagger.
Absolutely. So Will Levis needs to continue to have that winning mentality. You may not win every game, but you got that winning mentality in you. He needs to have that with the big persona. It's going to eventually, his personality is going to continue to come out. But with it coming out, you also got to be even keeled on the field. But you can still have that big persona as long as you're going out and having big games too.
So Tom Pelissero reported earlier this morning that DeAndre Hopkins will play tonight. He was out in practice yesterday with a toe, and whenever I see toe, I get worried because it could be hangnail, it could be turf toe. And two very different things. So Tom Pelissero reports that DeAndre Hopkins will play tonight, and I breathed an audible sigh of relief because I thought after that performance last week, this young quarterback needs DeAndre Hopkins. Mm-hmm. And then I thought, well, how bad of a sign is this for Treylon Burks? That my first thought of if DeAndre Hopkins can't go, then who in the heck is Will Levis going to throw to? And I think that's a bad sign for Treylon Burks that I don't even consider him much of a factor in this game.
Well, that's Treylon can't blame anyone but himself. Mm-hmm. Beside not being on the field, but half the time, or close to half the time, that's something that, players get hurt, and I get it. But when you're on the field, what are you giving me? And frankly, you haven't given the Titans anything to be encouraged by. You haven't. Because you've dropped way too many balls for their liking, I know. You haven't made enough big plays. You haven't inserted yourself in this offense. You are and supposed to be the number one option in the passing game. You are. That's what they envision. Even bringing on DeAndre Hopkins, I'm telling y'all what they envisioned. That Treylon Burks would still be the number one option, but when teams start to double Treylon Burks, then DeAndre Hopkins can do what he does so well, catch the football, and then you just got to figure out who are we going to double now, But you haven't given defenses that choice, Treylon Burks. So, damn it, you need to step up. This is the game you need to show that you were worthy of that pick. It doesn't have it doesn't have anything to do with who they traded away. It has everything to do with showing them that you deserved to be picked where you were. You haven't shown that yet. This is a game on Thursday night. Nobody else is watching any other football. All eyes on you. And if you go out there and lay another egg, you know what people are going to nationally they're going to start talking about? Because they hadn't talked about you nationally, Traylon Burks. Why? Because not many people pay attention to the Tennessee Titans, okay? Other than Derrick Henry. I'm just being honest here. Other than Derrick Henry, maybe Jeffrey Simmons, Kevin, but he's gone. But if you go out and lay another damn egg, now they're going to be talking about you on national television. So you need to go out there and ball. You need to help your young quarterback. Let him gain confidence in you that the future looks bright with the both of you.
How do you get involved? Like, is it as simple as just, hey, I'll be open and hit me and I'll come down?
Catch the football.
Yeah.
Catch the first one that comes to you. Then catch the second one. Then catch the third one. Just catch the damn ball, Traylon Burks, and you will be featured in his offense. You drop one or two, or you drop that first one.
You're not getting it again.
They're not looking to come back to you as much. And you're going to see him out of the game more than in the game. You're going to start seeing more of Chris Moore and Nick Westbrook-Akine rather than Traylon Burks.
That's what I'm wondering about is a couple of different factors. When you've missed time and you're exactly where he is in his career, right? Hasn't gotten over the hump. Is he physically back? Is his knee bothering him at all at this point? That's one question. I don't know the answer to anything.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, is he better in the flow this week? Game shape, right? Running the routes more sharp, crisp, because there's got to be a little rust when you miss the time that he's missed. That's the second thing that I'm wondering. Will that be better this week? And then three, you I think touched on it, Derek. This might be the biggest one. Confidence. Where is his confidence right now? I think everybody would say in the training camp, his confidence was way up there, right? He was catching everything. He was the talk of practice, and then the knee injury happened. So on those three things, to me, those are the questions, right? And those are things nobody can know the answer to unless you're him, but he needs some positive things to happen. I'm going to temper expectations. I want to see where he is at the end of the year. I'm not expecting anything big tonight. I would take one big play. One or two big plays from him tonight. I think that's more realistic.
One big play would
Yep.
double
One or two
his
big plays.
total big plays on the season. One,
you're right.
One catch tonight.
But look, let's be honest. He has not been right since that knee injury.
No.
He has not been right.
I predicted this morning on Chase and McJoe that he'd have 3 catches. So, I mean, I expect a pretty big night from Traylon Burks.
3 catches is a big night. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But that's
Well,
a
3
shame.
catches is a big night if one of them's a 40-yarder.
Exactly.
Or one of them's a touchdown in the red zone.
Yes,
Right? 3
yes,
catches
of
could be
course.
huge.
3 catches for 10 yards or 3 catches for 30
Right.
yards. That ain't
That's a
doing
whole
nothing for him.
different thing. That's not doing
In my brain this morning, I woke up thinking Traylon Burks, 3 catches, 56 yards. I don't know why, but that's what came to my brain.
Well, and one
I'll
of them
take
needs
it.
to be a touchdown. It needs to be a touchdown, one of them.
Let's get into your phones on this coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. Tune in to 93.3 Classic. Beginning at 4 p.m. Coverage also available on the 93.3 Classic app and at 93.3classichits.com.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, live and local from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. When you want the national
Hey. I got this. I'll take it from here.
Okay, go ahead. Dying to hear this.
We have the best national voices that you'll find anywhere.
Who was more deserving of being thrown from their game?
I'm odd, so I get the odd picks.
They have a new coaching staff.
It's not a bad scenario for them.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
And 94.9 The Fan.
Look, we all know how stressful moving can be, but let Black Tie Moving take the stress out of the process. Caroline Fenton here from my friends over at Black Tie Moving, and that's exactly what their trained and dedicated team is there to do, to take the stress out of your moving process. I moved with Black Tie Moving over the summer, and I can personally attest that it was the most stress-free and easiest moving experience that I have ever had. It started off with a phone call with a local professional moving consultant that laid out everything. No hiding behind hidden fees, no beating around the bush of maybe this day, maybe this time. Nope, it was clear as could be of this is when the movers would show up. This is how much it'll cost, and exactly what I was told is what I got. And on my moving day, it was so easy. They took such great care of all of my furniture, was so respectful of me and the spaces that I was moving in and out of. I truly cannot recommend Black Tie Moving enough for your next move. So visit blacktiemoving.com or call 615-437-8401. That is blacktiemoving.com or call 615-437-8401. Be sure to mention the promo code GAME, G-A-M-E, to score 10% off of your next move, and then sit back and enjoy the best move of your life with Black Tie Moving.
Calling all sweet tooths. Head to Nashville Toffee Company, a place where rich, chocolatey daydreams are created from a secret family recipe generations in the making. Their toffees and candies are handcrafted in Nashville using all natural, kosher-certified ingredients. Sweet creamery butter, pure cane sugar, premium roasted nuts, deep rich chocolate, and sea salt. Visit NashvilleToffeeCompany.com or drop by their headquarters on Air Lane Drive for a positively hassle-free shopping experience. Whether you're buying for 1 or 100, Nashville Toffee Company is here to make your holiday gift-giving easy.
Hi, this is Warren Moon, former quarterback for the Houston Oilers, 9-time Pro Bowler, and a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. When I played, I worked hard to train my body and practice to make sure I was prepared on game day. That's what boosters do for your immune system and why I chose to get boosted. Preparation keeps your game ready. Talk to your doctor. Make sure you're up to date on all your shots and get the information you need to make an informed choice. Gear up, Tennessee. Find a shot near you by visiting vaccines.gov today.
Actor Portrayal, based on a real patient experience.
I'm Mike. I'm a husband, proud father of 2, work my butt off 6 days a week, some nights too. When my family or my company needs me to make it happen, I make it happen. But a few months ago, I started having trouble making it happen, in the bedroom. I tried some pills online, but they didn't work. Honestly, I thought about throwing in the towel on my sex life, but I'm not that old. I still want to enjoy intimacy with my wife. Like that poet said, I don't want to just go gently into that good night. So I went to the Tennessee Men's Clinic in Franklin. Got some lab work done, was prescribed some meds, and wow, it made it happen. I can't say enough about them. Their providers took care of me, followed up, and made sure I had a treatment plan that actually works. It's awesome. If I were you, and you're like me, I'd give them a call today, 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. If you're like most guys, they'll make it happen for you too.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments extra. Results vary.
Get a great deal on select Kubota equipment, the #1 rated tractor brand for durability and owner experience in the U.S. The versatile lineup is built to help you make the most of your land. Right now at participating dealers, get a Kubota compact tractor for 0 down, 0% APR for 84 months, plus up to $800 on qualifying implements. Now through December 31st, see Krebs Kubota or go to KubotaUSA.com/disclaimers for full disclaimer. Krebs Kubota, Middle Tennessee's preferred equipment dealer. Convenient locations in Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro. Visit us online at KrebsKubota.com.
Nashville's radio version of The Odd Couple.
You would trade for the third pick? Yeah, I don't know that I would do that.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode.
I'm here for the discussion. I'm not. It's a good one. It's absurd.
Robbie and Rexrode, mornings from 6 to 9.
Win the games. When they get in the playoff, they'll have a chance to.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, it's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Join Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and D-Mase at Twin Peaks and Cool Springs tonight from 5 to 7 p.m. for our NFL pregame show. They'll break down the Titans' Week 9 matchup against the Steelers and give you the latest updates before the game. Our NFL pregame show is presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment and the Beast Unleashed. We got some thoughts in our text line driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. Unless we got some thoughts?
Let's go.
Let's go to the phone. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you have a thought. But Ben texts in and says the majority of games in the NFL's past and future won't be as good as last week's for Levis. If he is a franchise quarterback for us for the next 12 years, last week will still likely be a top 10 career game. I'm excited to see him have a more normal type of game and still lead us to victory, because that'll be required way more often moving forward. That's kind of a sentiment a vibe that I'm getting in the text line a lot is last week was awesome. It was so cool to see him be Superman, but I want to see what he does under duress. I want to see what he does when maybe things aren't, I don't want to say comfortable, because you're playing in the National Football League. It's never going to be comfortable, but maybe under more extreme circumstances.
Yeah.
Tougher defenses.
Yeah, I mean, tougher defenses. It's going to get a little bit harder for him, just because now teams, the more games you play, the more tape we have on you, the more we get to read your tendencies. So yes, it's going to be a little bit harder from that standpoint. But I think your first game is always the most nervous you can possibly be, because it's your first start. Everybody's watching. Your family's in the stands. You don't want to go out there and play bad because you think, man, this may be my only shot. So you're nervous about all of that. So you got to try to put all of that and compartmentalize that and just put it away. There's nothing, and I mean nothing, like that first game you play. Nobody can tell me different, because my first game was much different from my second game. I felt a little bit at ease, like, okay. Even though things may now have went the way I wanted it to, but from a mental and emotional standpoint, I felt a little better, because now it's my second game. Now I've seen some defenses. Now I see how fast this game really goes, as opposed to being on the sideline. Yeah, I can see it fast, but it's even faster once you're on the field playing it. So that first game is always a difficult game, because you have so many other things involved with your first start. Second game, it's going to be tough because defenses got some tape on you. But from an emotional standpoint, from a what to expect standpoint, I feel a little bit more at ease, because now I've proven I can play in this league. Yes, there are going to be things that happen in the game. Yes, I may throw an interception. Yes, I may get sacked or whatnot. But I know I can play in this league now, and I feel a little bit more at ease. Not to say I'm completely 100% Joe Cool, but I feel a little bit more at ease. So that second start is always a little bit better from just an emotional standpoint than that first start.
And it makes total sense of getting that kind of first game bugaboo over with. And it's like, okay, now I can breathe a little bit easier. But I do think there could be an element of, oh my gosh, I played so well in my first game. Now I have so much pressure to do that again in game two. Yeah. And I don't know how Will Levis feels, but I wouldn't be surprised. That's tough to live up to when that's the standard that you set. Even though it's unfair to expect that every single game, and it's unfair to expect more in game two.
But he can do it. Hey, feeling. You never know. He can throw for another 4 touchdowns.
Hey, if you can,
do it.
Yeah, bye, Ryan. Skylar Texan says, I'd like to see the first play of the game play action pass to either Chig or Burks. I want the Titans to get the ball in Burks and Chig's hands as fast as possible. Is the anticipation Burks and Chig have messing with them, like waiting for their moment, and when it comes, they have overthought it so much that they drop the ball and or just do something stupid? Your thoughts on that?
I think they've actually really tried to get Chig involved. I think they've given him ample chances, almost to the point where it's like, I'm not sure this is the right thing. Like with Wiley back tonight, I'm curious how they use him and Chig together. But yeah, I'm very concerned. The name that popped into my mind, Derek, about Chig is Ben Troop. Remember Ben Troop?
Yes.
I think it was towards the end of your time with the Titans and then beyond. I think after you left, when they were desperate to find the new guy. Ben Troop could look so good running down the field, and on occasion he'd make a good play, but it just became such a thing where it started weighing on him. When the big moment came, he couldn't catch it. and it was just like, we just can't hold out hope that the light's going to go on. And I'm worried that we're getting to that point with Jig. I just, is it worth, like the texter is saying, hey, let's get him involved. Let's get him involved. Because if you keep going to the well too many times, you're not getting anything. You're better off doing something else, right?
Yeah, I mean, getting Chig, Okonkwo, and Traylon Burks involved in the game early, I thought was always a good thing. Because, again, I go back to you never want a young guy. Now, D-Hop is a different story. I think even with that, you don't want him to go too long without trying to get him the ball. Now, whether he makes the catch or it's catchable or not, that's a different story. But trying to get him involved in the game, they're going to do that with D-Hop. But I think it's very imperative tonight that they get those young pass catchers involved in the game very, very early. Whether it be, again, a hitch, a slant, because Pittsburgh's going to give you that. They're going to give you the hitch and the slant. They're going to try to come up and be physical with you and try to dislodge you from the ball. But to get those guys involved in the game early, quick passes to them early, so one, they can build some confidence in themselves. And then two, you will find out where they are from a mental standpoint when you try to get them in the game early. And, the one guy that I think Pittsburgh is really worried about, I truly believe, is a Traylon Burks, because they don't know. They know he has a big play capability, but now you have a quarterback that could get him the ball down the field, deep down the field, throwing it.
Got to catch it.
But he has to catch it. But yet and still, you don't want a guy like that for this to be sort of his coming out party this season versus you on Thursday night. You don't want that to happen, because he is the guy. We saw what D-Hop can do. We've seen what D-Hop can do his whole career. So they know that's a known commodity. They know what he can do. And they feel, okay, if we do some things within the defense, he's not gonna beat us over the top like he did Atlanta. We're not gonna play single high. We're not gonna play him one-on-one like that. It's Traylon Burks that we need to not let get in the flow of the game, because truly, if he does get in the flow of the game, which, again, from what I've seen, I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm just being honest here. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to happen. But that's one guy, I guarantee you, Mike Tomlin's like, Derrick Henry, we know. There's a bullseye on him. We know we can't let him get going. D-Hop, we know what he can do. But Traylon Burks, we can't let this big fella get started in the passing game, because from a physical standpoint, they have nobody. Even Joey Porter, who's 6'2", he still doesn't match up from a physicality standpoint with Traylon Burks. So that's one guy they don't want to get involved in the offense.
If I'm Mike Tomlin and the defensive coordinator, I'm not going to let DeAndre Hopkins and Derrick Henry beat me. Mm-hmm. If Traylon Burks somehow has a breakout game after we haven't really seen a lot of Traylon Burks this season and really the entirety of his NFL career, well then, man, hats off to Traylon Burks.
But see, they know D-Hop. They know his limitations. His limitations is he's not a burner down the field. He got deep down the field this past week twice because, to me, blown coverage, and then he just used his physicality. You can call it an OPI, whatever, but it was a touchdown.
First one was OPI.
Yeah. But Traylon possesses something that they don't want to get started. Again, I don't know if he's going to get started, but you always have to be cognizant of what he's doing. You don't want him to get involved in the game. Again, you have Derrick Henry. You got a bullseye on him. You know where he's going to be. You know what you need to do. Now, can you do it? That's a different story. You know what D-Hop's limitations are, in where he's at in his career. He's not a deep threat. So can the Titans methodically move the ball down the field with him, with the young quarterback? That's yet to be seen. But the one guy they don't want to blow this game open is a Traylon Burks, because he has the potential to allow this Titans offense to be a two-play offense, meaning, we run the ball once with Derrick, and then we hit you over the top for 60 yards with Traylon Burks. Why? Because he has the speed, the strength, and the ability to get down the field. But again, can he make the catch? That's the big story around here.
If he can take the top off the defense, I want to see that.
Yeah,
I want to see it before I can believe it. Let's pick some underdogs coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's Reunion Weekend as Vanderbilt football takes on Auburn at First Bank Stadium. Kickoff at 3, pregame coverage at 1:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 94.9 The Fan and the Fan app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
There are ordinary hotels, and there's the Four Seasons. There are ordinary cars, and there's the Rolls-Royce. There are ordinary handbags, and there's Gucci. There are ordinary engagement rings, and there's Genesis. A Genesis diamond ring is unlike any other. Artistic, innovative design, handcrafted precision, exceptional detail and quality. This is why people who work at other jewelers come to Genesis for their rings. A Genesis ring is considered the gold standard in bridal, with no compromises, no cut corners, nothing short of perfection. We have the look, the style every woman dreams about. At Genesis, you'll find dozens of exclusive world-class bridal designers who are revered for their attention to detail, exceptional vision, and superior craftsmanship. A Genesis ring rises to the occasion, reflecting her style, her unique personality, her confidence, her individuality. In a world filled with ordinary, for this moment, choose extraordinary. Choose Genesis. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs.
Exergen thermometers are proven to be more accurate than non-contact thermometers. With children back at school, keeping them healthy is important. Clinical studies have proven that non-contact thermometers are inaccurate and can miss fevers. Accuracy matters. That's why the Exergen thermometer is trusted and used by medical professionals. Exergen thermometers are available at many fine retailers. Choose a trusted and accurate thermometer for personal use. Learn more about why accuracy matters. Available at Walmart and participating retailers. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Now, your Game Center update.
This Game Center update is delivered by Black Tie Moving. This is Nick Frazier. Last night, the Texas Rangers won the World Series for the first time in their 63 years of being a franchise. They are the third franchise in history of the MLB to lose 100 games the season before and then to win it all the season after. The Willie Mays World Series MVP, Corey Seager, is only one of two players to win a World Series with another team. He joins Reggie Jackson on that select list. Seager won a World Series with the Dodgers back in 2020 and now winning with the Rangers. News in the NFL coming from the AFC South. Houston Texans running back Dameon Pierce did not practice yesterday due to an ankle injury. And injury news from the Titans. Titans quarterback Ryan Tannehill was ruled out yesterday for tonight's game in Pittsburgh against the Steelers. I'm Nick Frazier, and you're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Game Center update delivered by Black Tie Moving. Use the promo code GAME to score 10% off your next move.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 1025 and 1063.
And a score! You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board. Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personalities of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado. There's no need to fear. Underdog is here.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, we're live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios. It is now time for Silly Underdog Picks, so I will send it over to our Seattle Commissioner, Willy D.
Willy, oh, Willy D. Willy D. Ooh, oh, Willy.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the great rainy city of Seattle, in the Pacific Northwest, it's time for another edition of Silly Underdog Picks presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. Yes, it's raining here in Seattle, but the sun is shining brightly back in our studio for our fine list of contestants. Our program continues to move on, and big things are happening here. Can D-Mase continue to close this out? D-Mase has been dominating the competition, but there was success among the panel this past week. We will get to it in a moment. But First, let's update the online contest, which is brought to you, of course, by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. You go to theGameNashville.com every week. You make your 3 picks. The most popular picks, there were 4 that stood out among all the rest. Dion's Colorado Buffaloes, 27% went down with the ship with them, although they played well. We'll get to that in a moment. 21% took Kansas. A big win for the Jayhawks over undefeated Oklahoma. So a lot of winners there. Utah, 20% of our audience took them. Whoops, that didn't go so well. And then another whoops, 19% took the Florida Gators in the outdoor cocktail party, and Florida got smoked. So those are the most popular picks. The one that made the right picks, Kevin Ham, representing Mount Juliet. Well done, Kevin. You win the weekly prize, and we'll do this again next week. We do it every week, big prizes, by going to thegamenashville.com and playing along with us. Now, let's get to the panel. It was a fun week last week. Chase McCabe. Now, let's find out the whereabouts of the suit. The suit has been absent some. He's been in and out of the office. He's been very busy. He's been to Vegas. Chase, are you with us?
I'm here.
Oh.
All right.
I am here.
Chase selected Colorado, a 17-point dog at UCLA. Colorado right in it all the way, pretty much. Down 1 at the half. Still hanging around in the fourth quarter, but fall to the Bruins 28-16 at the Rose Bowl. So, Chase, your thoughts?
Well, it doesn't matter anymore in this competition. I mean, Derek's run away with it. And, honestly, all of my focus is now on the George Plaster and Friends bowling tournament on November 27th. That is what I am focused on.
I see. Okay, priorities. Okay.
You're welcome, George.
Thank you. Thank you, Chase.
Kelly Holcomb, I'll be interested if he's conceding the title here because he selected Kansas, a 9-point dog at home against Oklahoma. Great crowd, although horrible weather in Lawrence, Kansas. They delayed the game for a while, which I was really wondering how that would affect things because Kansas got off to a very good start. They're standing toe-to-toe. Then they had to wait a while. And now fast forward to the end, Kansas pulls out the win, 38-33. Kelly picks up 9, and he is now sole possession of second place, creeping up a little bit on Derek Mason, who still has a comfortable lead.
I was still in sole possession of second place anyway, Willie, so what are you talking about?
Well, you wouldn't have been had you not won this game, which we'll get to in a moment.
Well, it doesn't matter, but I did win the game, so I was in sole possession. I'm still in sole possession, so relax, Francis.
You got a lot of soul over there, Kelly. You got a lot of soul. Yeah, okay.
And I can tell you one thing. I'm not, I'm not really as interested in the bowling tournament as Chase is, obviously, because if George don't put me on the opening on our show, I'm not going.
Oh, wow.
You'll
Sounds
miss
like
out
a
on a good
conversation that
time.
needs to be had.
Yeah, we've already had that conversation many times, but it hasn't changed.
I love this, Kelly. This is fantastic.
Wow.
I know you
really
do.
hyping up the bowling tournament. All right. D-Mase picked Mississippi State. D-Mase goes into the weekend with 50.5 points already. Trying to add to it going into the SEC with Mississippi State, a 6.5-point dog at Auburn. Not a bad game, but Auburn took care of business on home turf and wins 27-13. So D-Mase holding fast at 50.5.
Yeah, well, Auburn decided they wanted to start scoring points against an SEC opponent. So, damn them.
Not happy with the placement, huh?
No, I'm not. Auburn disappointed me by scoring points.
Yeah. Chris Sanders had the next pick. He went with Wake Forest, a 20.5-point dog against Florida State, going big as usual, but still looking for the first win as the Seminoles stay undefeated, 41-16. Chris, it was working so well for you last year. Let's go. We're running out of time here.
Champ, I'm trying. I still believe I got a chance. I mean, I got 0 points, and I still had faith, and I'm just going to give it my all. That's all I can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey, as long as you give it your all, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
Okay, at least Chris,
That's what
your
you tell little
attitude is
leaguers.
back. Your sunshine is back. You were really down in the dumps
Hold on,
last week. I was
hold on. Did you say a little leaguer?
Yeah, that's what you tell little leaguers. You gave it your all, young man. Here, Johnny, here's a lollipop.
One of the orange slices.
Capri Suns.
That's cold. You said little leaguers. They didn't catch it, little leaguers. You kidding me?
All right. Well, someone who needed a win and was in some therapy sessions, the therapy worked because Caroline Fenton is in the win column.
Finally!
Raging Cajun.
Finally!
10-point Dogs at South Alabama. They win it easy, 33-20. Caroline, how does it feel?
Way to
Your
go.
first win.
Oh, it is like a weight lifted off my shoulders. And I was just telling D-Mase, I'm not going to watch ULL South Alabama on my Saturday night. So I checked the score when I woke up Sunday morning, and I jumped out of bed like that scene in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Like the grandpa who wins the golden ticket, who jumps out of bed for the first time in years and did a little happy dance. Because I said, finally, I'm on the board. Now I'm coming for D-Mase.
Wow.
All right.
Everybody's aiming toward me, huh? I like that. I like to beat a rabbit.
Well, they have a ceremony. They take pictures. You have a little ceremony when you get game 1,000 like they did for Ryan O'Reilly. So I think someday, Caroline, when you get your 100th win in this competition, we'll look back and we'll have pictures of you on that Saturday night, jumping out of bed for your first underdog victory.
Let's start with just second win. All right. No, we got our first win in week 9. Let's crawl before we run.
Yeah, it's like Will Levis. So what do you got for me next, right? The one win's fine, but let's get another. All right, so now we get to Plaz. A Utah pick, 6.5 points. At home against Oregon. Seems like a very sensible pick. And Plaz likes to preach this. Picks that make sense. But what the heck happened to the Utes, Plaz? 35-6. The Ducks just rolled.
They sucked.
What the heck?
They're mentally tough, though.
Wow.
Willie, let's get a dose of realism here, okay? I conceded the competition before the Braves got beat by the Phillies. Okay? The real concern here is what message is Derek sending the kids, the youth of America? And
by running up the score.
It is so lacking in sportsmanship. I just worry about the future of our country.
Trying to tough them up again.
Thoughts?
Man.
I mean, you do tell the panel you hope they lose.
I'm trying to toughen.
These are things. Are these lessons the kids would appreciate?
Absolutely. I'm trying to toughen our country back up. Listen, no more just giving out awards just to be giving them out. You got to earn them. Okay, you got to earn them.
Amen.
All right?
Amen.
Chris?
I'll second that, D-Mase.
Thank you, Kelly. There we go. You got to earn what you get around here. You got to earn your keep. That's what my daddy used to tell me. You got to earn your keep.
No participation trophies around here.
Go out there and cut that grass, rake it.
Chop that wood.
Do whatever.
Make
you got to
the
do
biscuits.
it. Earn that keep. So I'm trying to teach these kids of the day, they got to earn their keep, man. That's all.
All right.
Until I brought it up, I don't think you'd ever thought about the kids.
All right. With that backdrop, let's move on to Week 10 and make the picks. Kelly Holcomb with some momentum now, up to 17.5 points. Maybe seeing D-Mase off in the distance. Can he creep up a little closer? He has the first pick, and so let's hit it.
We can skin a buck and run a trot line, and a country boy can survive. Country folks can survive. Country boy can survive. Country folks can survive.
It's Tighten Up Thursday.
So, as much as I want to pick Coach Prime and the Buffaloes, I think they're fading fast, man. They've been fading fast for a while. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go against Caroline picked Louisiana Lafayette last week. I'm going to say that was a big win for them, and I'm going to say that the Red Wolves of Arkansas State and Butch Jones beat them this week.
Ooh.
Okay. Butch Jones
Red
being
Wolves.
Kelly's
What
favorite
kind of
coach of all
nickname
time.
Is that?
What, George?
What kind of nickname is that? The Red Wolves.
I don't know. I didn't come up with it. I'm just telling you what it is.
Well, maybe this is a great time also for Kelly to explain Butch Jones. So this is
no. You're thinking about the other Butch that I played under, and we don't want to get into that on the air.
No.
So yeah, Butch Jones, the former Tennessee coach, is 4-4 on the year, and they are a 9-point dog against Louisiana. So the Ragin' Cajuns involved in the competition. Kelly using his inside info on the Sun Belt teams, where he's been to all those fields. Have you been to Arkansas State, Kelly?
I have, yes. There's not much there.
Well, does this help you make these picks? I feel like this is a key to your comeback here.
It does a little bit.
Knowing the league.
It does a little bit, but not really. But I've been to Jonesboro, Arkansas, and if I didn't go back, it wouldn't bother me.
Okay. On that, we get to Derek Mason, the leader of the competition.
Go green, go white.
Oh, my God. Oh, God.
All right. Let me see here. I had 2 games and I just lost it. Okay, here we go. I am going to go with Cincinnati over UCF. They're playing in Ohio, so it's going to be a little nippy up there. Them boys from Florida, they don't do too well in the cold weather. So it's going to be a little nippy in Cincinnati.
Don't
well, at
believe
least I
in the
hope.
Gus Bus?
Nah, not at all. I don't think they believe in them. So I'm going with the Bearcats over UCF.
Cincinnati is 2-6, which is hard to fathom because they've won a lot of games over the years. But they are a 4-point home dog against the 3-5 Golden Knights of UCF. Now, it's been a while since those two teams have had those kind of win-loss records in a while. They're not finding life easy in the Big 12.
No, I'm trying to see what the weather's going to be. I think it's going to be cold. So if it's going to be cold, yeah, it's definitely a Bearcat.
It's November.
Yeah, so it's going to be cold.
It's going to be 60 degrees, D-Mase.
That's still cold. That's still cold for Central Florida, okay?
It's probably 75 in Orlando, that's for sure. All right, that brings us to Chris Sanders. Still in therapy, group therapy, looking for the first win of the season. The defending champion, still 0 on the year. He has the move.
2 times, 3 times, 3 times. Oh, gosh.
This man ain't even got a pick.
Nope. I was waiting for you to say something, man. So I was waiting.
Who you gonna pick, Chris?
All right, here we go. Here we go.
I guarantee you, this is who you're gonna pick California over Oregon, aren't you?
No, I'm picking Rutgers over Ohio State.
Oh my goodness!
Again?
No,
I knew that was coming.
I'm joking. No, you ain't joking. I'm going with Pittsburgh over Florida State. They don't like the cold.
That's even worse.
Yeah, that might be worse.
Yeah, that might be worse, Chris. Didn't you see Pitt play last week?
I'm trying to get in it. Hey, this is all for the little leaguers. That's what it's for.
Well, yeah, that's the conference
Chris
you're playing
making a pick for the little leaguers.
That's
okay,
the conference you're playing in, buddy.
Yeah.
So he pump faked us. We thought he was going to pick against the alma mater, but instead he goes for a bigger underdog. He is going with Pittsburgh, 2-6 on the season, 21.5-point dogs. Of course, playing in the same stadium that the Titans will play in tonight, and that will be Saturday on ESPN at 12:30 here. So that's the 2:30 Nashville time start. Florida State undefeated, 8-0 on the year. Now that would be something. All right, we move on to Caroline, coming off the first win of the year.
This song, combined with Louisiana, doing me right last week. The state of Louisiana has never done me wrong. Give me the LSU Tigers over the Alabama Crimson Tide this weekend. I'm not going to hedge my happiness. I'm going all in on my happiness. I'm doubling down on my happiness. Brian Kelly 2-0 against old Nick Saban.
I've been waiting for this. I knew this was going to happen. LSU, Caroline's alma mater, a 3-point dog in Tuscaloosa, taking on Alabama. Big, big game in the SEC West. Only 3 points, but the pride. I could just sense the pride.
We got a Heisman on the line, Willie.
It's going to be worth more than 3 points in her heart.
She'll take it.
She'll take it,
Yeah,
for
she'll
sure.
take the 3 points.
That brings us to Plaz, who's still looking for his first win of the season. Let's see what he's got up his sleeve.
Willie.
Yes, Plaz.
As you know, a week ago, NC State beat Clemson, and that spawned an absolute tirade from Dabo Sweeney on some little kid. This week, NC State's going to dust Miami, and then Mario Cristobal's going to go off next week on some kid down there. Just remember.
We've had a lot of discussion about the youth of America these days.
Yes, we have.
Chris is trying to win one for the Little League, and
Yeah,
Plaz is trying to
absolutely.
warn all kids out there not to go near a losing coach, is basically what it says.
Absolutely. NC State, Willie. It's not
NC
the
State is a 6-point home dog taking on 6-2 Miami, who should be 7-1 had it not been for one of the craziest, dumbest ways to lose a game ever, next to Joe Pisarcik. All right, that brings us to Chase McCabe with the final pick of Week 10.
Behold the King, the King of Kings. On your knees, dog.
All right. I have been kind of scouring, figuring out what I want to do here. I mean, it doesn't matter at this point, like I said. So I believe there's going to be an upset in Columbia, South Carolina. Give me Jacksonville State.
Oh, wow.
You know, I looked at that game, Chase.
Jacksonville State is 7-2. South Carolina is not a very good team.
Nah.
So 15.5, Jacksonville State.
Chase, that would put you in sole possession of what, second?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
I think.
Well,
No,
yeah,
no.
it could be. It could be.
be.
It depends on the map.
Yeah.
Depends on the math, how everybody else does. Jacksonville State is indeed a 15.5-point dog, taking on 2-6 South Carolina. And that is coming up that's one of these early kickoffs, too, 11 a.m. on ESPNU. So let's review the picks for week number 10 and see what we got. Kelly Holcomb had the first pick. Selects Arkansas State out of the Sun Belt, a 9-point dog playing at home against Louisiana, who got Caroline her first win of the year last week. Derek Mason, right now leading the competition, and he leads it by 33 points over the field. So he's trying to add to it by going with Cincinnati, a 4-point home dog taking on UCF in a matchup of a great Big 12 rivalry, Cincinnati and UCF. Chris Sanders with the third pick, looking to get on the board. For the youth of America, for all the little leaguers, picking Pittsburgh, the Panthers, a 21.5-point home dog against undefeated Florida State, who's trying to get to the college football playoff. Pittsburgh trying to be the
What does that
spoilers.
have to do with the youth of America?
Well, Chris Sanders he's dedicating it to all the little leaguers if they win.
Hey, all the little leaguers, baby.
Yeah. Chris is going to buy the orange slices, the juice boxes, everybody, juice boxes for all if they win.
Darn them kids, man.
Caroline picks her heart, goes with LSU in a big, big game. 3-point dogs at Alabama. It's only 3, but what the heck? Caroline, you're aware that there's no bonus when your alma mater wins, right? You don't get extra points for that.
I don't need extra points in the competition. I've got bragging rights for the rest of the year. That's all I need.
She just needs points, man.
I just need my team to win. That's what I need.
She just doesn't want to lose to little Nikki.
Exactly.
Laz, using the angry coach theory, selects North Carolina State, another home dog, 6 points as they take on 7-2 Miami. And so Plaz wants to put Mario Cristobal into a post-game tirade, just like NC State did to Dabo Swinney a week before. And then finally, Chase McCabe goes with a big dog, Jacksonville State, having a good year, 7-2, 15.5-point dogs, big opportunity to knock off an SEC foe as they travel to Columbia, South Carolina to take on the Gamecocks. Remember, you can play along with us by going to thegamenashville.com. You make your picks every Saturday before kickoff. Make it by 10 o'clock. Those are the picks for week number 10. Ladies and gentlemen, from Seattle, good luck.
As I do every week, fellas, ladies, I wish y'all nothing but bad luck this week in your picks.
Chris, go grab you a Lunchable and take the kids out to recess. we all going to Chuck E. Cheese, baby. You know it.
Chuck E. Cheese.
Or Showbiz.
Showbiz.
There's one I haven't heard in a while. That's going way back.
Juice boxes and gold stars around.
That's awesome.
All right. Another edition of Silly Underdog Picks this week. Appreciate everybody for stopping by, and I appreciate our commissioner, Willy Donick. Now, Willie D, you are on Pred's duty, so good luck on the call tonight, and we'll chat with you tomorrow.
Yep. Sounds good, guys. Good luck to everybody tonight, and enjoy the big sports night with our local teams.
Absolutely.
Huge night. Preds in action in Seattle. And, of course, the Titans taking on the Steelers on Thursday Night Football. Now, D-Mase has broken down the film. We'll get into D-Mace's film room coming up next. Caroline, Willie, D-Mase, we are brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet.
Whatever your destination in life, you can get there easier with a checking account from F&M Bank. At F&M, our checking accounts give you the tools you need to manage your money well, like our smart free checking account that's actually free. Because sometimes the basics are more than enough, making lives better by making banking easier. Come see us at one of our branches or online at myfmbank.com. F&M Bank, banking made easy on purpose. Member FDIC.
Hi, this is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. The holiday season should remind us that faith and family are the most important things in life. And we hope that you succeed in coming together this holiday season with those you love and in the process creating some generational memories. Holidays have this magical power to magnify small things to ever greater memories over time. What a return on investment. Happy holidays.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Nashville area attorneys. 810 Crescent Center Drive, Suite 160, Franklin, Tennessee, 37067.
Need cash for the holidays or want to be credit card debt-free for the new year? Call Loan Pronto today. Their Express Equity line of credit can get you $20, $50, $100,000 in as little as 5 days. Willie Donick here. Listen up. You've got a ton of equity in your home, and Loan Pronto can help turn that equity into cash to put it to use. You can access up to 95% of your home's value. Use the money to pay off all your credit cards or pay off personal loans. Start the home improvement project you've been looking for. You can get the money you need now and still keep your primary mortgage intact, so your 3% rate is protected. Call right now, 615-499-5780. Get the holiday cash you need or pay off all those credit cards. 615-499-5780 or go online at loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Experience the thrill of gaming glory at Harrah's Casino and Hotel, just a little over 2 hours northwest of Nashville off I-24. Call 1-800-HARRAHS and reserve your room today to indulge in top-tier casino gaming, appetizing dining experiences, and their cutting-edge sports book. As a Caesar Rewards destination, every moment you spend at Harrah's Metropolis earns you points across the entire Caesars empire. It's your time to win with Harrah's Metropolis. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Know when to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-888-BETS-OFF.
This week at Target, you'll find different early Black Friday deals. Get fun deals on the latest tech, toys, and video games, plus smart deals on small appliances, floor care, and so much more. At Target, you'll discover different early Black Friday deals each week. And get what you need for the holidays fast with free drive up or score free shipping when you spend $35 or use your red card at Target.com. Get low prices and early Black Friday deals only at Target. Exclusions apply.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's reunion weekend as Vanderbilt football takes on Auburn at First Bank Stadium. Kickoff at 3, pregame coverage at 1:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 94.9 The Fan and the Fan app.
Hey, Nashville, this is Sean Henry. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Hey, make your silly underdog picks for your chance to win weekly prizes. You can play at theGameNashville.com or the 1025 The Game app as we approach week 9 of college football and week 8 of the NFL. Silly Underdog Picks is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. D-Mase, you've been breaking down some Pittsburgh Steelers film. Of course, Titans in action tonight on Thursday Night Football, taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. What does Will Levis look like tonight? What more do we learn about this Will Levis-led offense tonight? But you turned on the film, watch the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, it's more likely than not, and that's on me. I need to double-check and make sure. But Mike Tomlin said, expect Kenny Pickett to play tonight.
Yes.
What extra element, how much better, how much does Kenny Pickett elevate this Pittsburgh Steelers offense? An offense that's been struggling.
He's been up and down, but to his defense, they've had a lot of drop passes. And yes, he is missing guys here and there. But let's just say, go back to the last game. And I know the weather wasn't the best, but Johnson had 2 or 3 drops. I mean, balls that were right in his hands, and he dropped them. Then there was another situation in the end zone where Kenny Pickett just misses Johnson in the end zone between zones, wide open, sitting there, and Kenny Pickett just missed him. So, if it's not Kenny Pickett, it's, receivers dropping balls. Now, obviously his main weapon is George Pickens. George is averaging,
is so good.
He's averaging close to 20 yards per catch. He has 3 touchdowns, I believe. Johnson is averaging just under 14 yards per catch, but he's had his fair share of drops. The problem with Pittsburgh's offense is they haven't been able to run the football with any regularity. The offensive line isn't the greatest, but they're not the worst either. But for some reason, they haven't been able to get this offensive run game on point. And we had Dulick on, yesterday, the day before? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he talked about some of the concerns they have from a running standpoint with the Pittsburgh Steelers, because this is something they typically, if they're not doing anything else well, they're running the football well. Again, their offensive line is okay. It's not the best. Those tackles can get pushed back into the quarterback. But if this offense is going to do anything, Kenny Pickett has to be more consistent. He hasn't been consistent all year. And those receivers on the outside, they got a lot of talent from a skill position standpoint, running back, receivers, and tight ends. But for some reason, they haven't been able to put it all together. From an offensive standpoint, as long as they can get pressure on the quarterback, he's known to throw some errant passes. He's known to be inconsistent. And then those receivers outside of Pickens is known for dropping passes. So just watch for that. From a defensive standpoint, this is where I think, this team really want to ramp things up. They're +7 from a turnover standpoint, which is, I think, the best in the NFL, or their second. It's the top 2 defense in regards to takeaways. They get Cam Hayward back. TJ Watt is a monster. We all know about that. But those linebackers, Holcomb, Highsmith, and Alexander, deserve. But these linebackers are really good. Joey Porter Jr., he's only averaging, teams are averaging, his coverage percentage is 21%, which means you're only completing 21% of your passes on his side. So offenses tend to stay away from him. He's long, he's physical, being at 6'2", he can pretty much cover any wide receiver, whether you be a smaller guy or a bigger guy, say like a D-Hop or a trailing guys that are over 6'1". So he has that ability. Now they're missing Mika Fitzpatrick because he's injured. I wonder how that's going to affect them from a defensive standpoint, those calls on the back end. Because if they don't get those calls right, then we can see the big arm Will Levis throw balls over their head. But this is a solid defense that I think will get a little bit better having Cam Hayward back in the fold. So watch this defense. Watch how much pressure, because they like to play a lot of too high. They like to disguise things. They don't like to put themselves in a position where they're on the island by themselves, meaning the corners. They try to give help where they can, they can play the pass, but also play the run as well. But again, those linebackers do a good job. And again, having Cam Hayward back may strengthen that front, because they play a 3-4, so it may strengthen that front 7 in regards to them stopping the run. But I think everything is going to be, predicated on, obviously, if they can stop Derrick Henry, and then them they want to disguise their defense long enough so you can't see whether it's too high or single high safety. I think they're going to play a lot of both, kind of mix it up and fool a young quarterback, but they're going to have to. I think they're going to start off with seeing what they can do from a 7-man front, maybe an 8-man front, 7-man front, see if they can stop Derrick Henry that way. If they can, then be prepared to see too high safety across the board. But if they can't, then be prepared for them to bring that safety down into the box. And then that's where I believe Tennessee Titans will try to take, their chances down the field.
I want to get more into the Pittsburgh defense coming up next. But looking at the Pittsburgh offense, they have struggled to run the football. And, they've got Najee Harris, who in his rookie season was fantastic. So is that a line issue? Is that an offensive coordinator issue? Do they just not try to run the football enough? We only got the ball 7 times. Najee Harris only got the ball 7 times.
Yeah, but they found themselves. They found themselves behind. And
is it that?
And he didn't seem like, in watching that game, and again, it was inclement weather, ground was wet, all this stuff. He just wasn't running the football with any physicality all the time. Like, there would be times, and I see what Dulac was saying. There was times where he would get up to the pile or to get up to and it was almost like he was tiptoeing. He was hesitating instead of just hitting it. And again, it could have been the weather. It could have been it was a slippery field. Guys were slipping. You couldn't quite get your footing. There were several instances where, TJ Watt's rushing. He slips because the ground's wet. So maybe that could have been a contributing factor why he didn't hit the hole the way you expect him to. But he was hesitant in that Jacksonville Jaguars game. And you can't tell me, I don't believe he was hesitant because he just thought that was a vaunted, front 7. I think the weather had something to do with it. And it's hard to say, well, it's all the offensive line because we don't watch them enough.
Yeah.
And I didn't watch all 7 games. But in that last game, he did have, it just seemed like he was a little bit hesitant once he got to the line of scrimmage. And I think he may have had one sort of kind of big run. But other than that, Jacksonville did a good job at bottling him up and not letting him get going. But again, is that the defense? Is it the O-line? Is it the run back? Or is it the play calling? Which one is it?
What kind of threat does he pose in the pass game?
I
From
think
what you've seen.
They have another back, number 30. I forgot his name.
Jalen Warren?
Yeah. They use him too. Now, Najee can be a factor in the passing game, but he hasn't been all season, up until this point. Now, again, are they looking for him to be more of a focal point in the passing game or not? I don't know. I don't know if they're designing, plays for him to get the ball out the backfield. I think they're designing things for their receivers because these guys can play. They have some good skill guys on the outside with their 3 or 4 receivers. But for some reason, he just hadn't been able to get into the flow of the game, meaning Najee Harris, whether it be running the football at times or being a pass catcher out the backfield.
Pickens.
Mm-hmm.
Pickens scares me to death. Now, if Pickett was playing at a level that we maybe saw him play in the preseason, it'd be a little bit more scared.
Mm-hmm.
But with how inconsistent Kenny Pickett has been, it's not like that I'm afraid that George Pickens can be the one that can beat you because Kenny Pickett has been so inconsistent. But who would you put on George Pickens? Like, is that the number one
George
focal
Pickens
point of this Titans defense?
He's the guy that you got to take out. You got to double team him, and you can't. It's almost you can't double team him every play, but you got to pick and choose when to double team him. Whether it be on third down. Or, if you've been scouting them, when they're going to play action and look toward them in certain sets, or when he's on a certain side of the ball, that's when you, as a defense, need to look. Should we double him here, or should we, single him up? I don't think they're going to do too much singling George Pickens because he's a matchup nightmare. The guy has speed, he has height. He has strength. He can make just about every catch. So you're going to have – he is the focal point for the Titans defense in regards to the passing game. Now, Dante Johnson, he's no slouch either.
Yeah.
But he's dropped too many footballs. So that doesn't mean you still don't need to pay attention to him. These two guys, when they're on – they are hard to cover. When Pittsburgh is running that offense the way they want to or the way they envision it, it's hard because George Pickens is the deep ball guy and Dante Johnson is the shifty guy. He can get deep too, but he's the shifty guy, the guy that they're looking to, catch the ball, make moves, and get up the field. So the Titans are going to be on their game because if the weather's, let's just say if the weather's decent, because this time in Pittsburgh, this time of year at night, it's going to be cold. But if it's no precipitation, then watch for these guys to try to throw the ball deep consistently because that's where the Tennessee Titans have struggled, covering the deep ball.
Going to be low 40s, 0% chance of precipitation.
Well, it could be.
Let it rip.
Pittsburgh may be looking, as the Titans were last week, Pittsburgh can be looking to push the ball down the field this game.
Let's get back into the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. What threat this poses to a rookie quarterback in Will Levis. I don't know if the Titans going to be able to run the football. We'll get into that coming up next, and your thoughts, your questions for D-Mase based off of what he has seen from the Pittsburgh Steelers film. We'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. Tune in to 94.9 The Fan this Saturday at 6:45 p.m. for our college football game of the week, LSU versus Alabama, presented by Twin Peaks. Take your tailgate to Twin Peaks for scenic views of all the hottest college football games across the country and home of the 29-degree beer.
Green right, Fox 2 run, double K. He takes you inside the huddle through the eyes of a quarterback.
Wide 85, tight.
Catch ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck every Tuesday at noon as he breaks down the big stories in the NFL.
Buffalo, maybe Miami.
And with the Tennessee Titans.
The Titans might be like, we're interested in a 1-year, $1 million contract.
Tim Hasselbeck is on Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hal Gill here for my good friends at Dunkin'. I get my Dunks every morning. I grew up with Dunkin' in Boston, and it's been my favorite ever since. Fall in love with Dunkin's pumpkin coffee, lattes, muffins, and donuts. Made with their signature high-quality coffee, each sip and bite is sure to delight. Perfect for those cool autumn mornings or as a sweet treat any time of day. You won't be able to resist the delicious pumpkin flavor. Get pumped for pumpkin. Stop by Dunkin' today.
Come try Calabria Brick Oven Pizzeria. Their pizza is cooked to perfection, but that's not all they're known for. Try one of their delicious appetizers, salads, fresh calzones, and they have a full bar and dessert. Calabria has been a Mount Juliet staple for 7 years now and has a new location in the heart of Goodlettsville off Long Hollow Pike. Come join the family at Calabria. After all, life's too short to eat bad pizza.
Hun, we need to stop putting off getting life insurance.
I know. It's just been so busy, and I'm sure the cost is out of our budget.
Well, Jen told me that they got a $500,000 term life insurance policy from Ethos for less than $23 a month. All online with no complicated forms and no medical exam. All they had to do was answer a few health questions.
Wait, no medical exam and all online?
I know, right? It's not easy to think about, but if something happened to you, James and I would be...
Okay, I get it. Let's get a quote from Ethos right now. Wow, you were right. There's no medical exam. And Ethos makes the whole online process fast and easy. And look at these rates and coverage options. It's great protection and totally fits our budget.
Ethos. They've removed all the barriers from getting coverage. Go to checkethos.com to get your free online quote. That's checkethos.com. Quote based on a healthy, non-smoking 30-year-old male with a 20-year term policy. Rates may vary.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy. Pretty much hands off, They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This year, Staples wants everyone to have a happy Holla deal. That's right, Holla Deal. Staples Holla Deals are amazing savings on hot holiday tech. Great prices on laptops, game systems, earbuds, and more. And now at Staples, you can save up to $300 on select PCs. During Staples Holla Deals, it's not about the fa-la-la. It's about saving moo-la-la. Save up to $300 on select PCs today at Staples. Ends 11/11 in-store only. See associate for details.
Sometimes it's good to be loud.
This is the NFL.
Especially when you're Jared Stillman.
That's where we are.
He's not afraid to say what's on his mind each and every day.
That was embarrassing. I don't care if you're a rookie. That was embarrassing.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Tune in to 94.9 The Fan this Saturday for Vanderbilt football. The Commodores will kick off at 3 p.m. at home against Auburn with pregame beginning at 1:30 p.m. Coverage is also available on the 94.9 The Fan app and at 949thefan.com. So we're in D-Mase's film room. Just broke down kind of what makes this Pittsburgh Steelers offense tick. The George Pickens wide receiver will probably be the focal point of this Titans defense to take George Pickens away from the passing game. But let's switch to the other side of the football, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Last week, rightfully so, Will Levis and his pass game performance stole the show, and it stole the conversation of the week. And it should have. Rookie making his NFL debut with 4 touchdowns. But Derrick Henry also had a good day. And Derrick Henry, in his ability to run the football, I think aided in Will Levis's performance. It's going to be even harder for Will Levis tonight against Pittsburgh and that defensive front, and especially on the road. They may have to rely on Derrick Henry a little bit more and the run game in general. Will the Titans be able to run on this Pittsburgh defensive front?
Oh, man, that's if you're just basing it on from a statistical standpoint, then they should be able to have some good moments in the run game. Pittsburgh is giving up over 100 yards a game rushing. That's uncharacteristic of a Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Again, they haven't had Cameron Hayward much of the season at all. I think he's only played one game.
He tore his groin, I
yeah,
think.
So early on, week one.
And then he got surgery. So this is his first game back.
This is his first game back. So this defense, it may look different than what it did in the first, 5 games or 6 games of the season. Now they have one of their better defensive linemen back. So now I think now everybody can play sort of their true position on the field. So judging by what has happened up until this point, then the Titans should be able to run the football. But now that they have Hayward back, will this be a different defense than what we've seen in prior weeks from Pittsburgh? And I know Pittsburgh are looking at it from the standpoint, okay, we got one of our big guys back, so we should be better from a run-stopping standpoint as well as getting to the quarterback, even though they still been able to get to the quarterback and cause turnovers. But having him back, I think it ups the ante on everybody.
And we don't know if you're getting 100% Cam Hayward.
Exactly.
I mean, we talked with Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette yesterday, and he said, I wouldn't expect Cam Hayward to play. But, of course, we know now that he will play. But even if it's not 100% Cam Hayward, you're talking about a 3-time All-Pro.
Yeah.
You
need him on the field. Yeah. You need a guy like that on the field. His presence need to be on the field. Now, like you said, is he 100%? Will he be the Cameron Hayward we saw prior to the injury? I don't know. But I know for Pittsburgh, they're happy to have him back out there on the field because, again, from a run-stopping standpoint, this team hasn't looked like the Steelers team that we are accustomed to seeing in regards to stopping the run.
What about the pass rush? I'm terrified of Andre Dillard being out there going one-on-one with T.J. Watt.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're going to have to double him. He sits. That's why I said those linebackers too, Highsmith and Alexander. Those guys can play, especially Highsmith to the end, but Alexander. These guys get to the quarterback. Their win rate is high. T.J. Watt right now, his win rate is 13% when they're pressuring a quarterback. That's good for defensive end. Then you have Alexander, who's right there, the same with T.J. Watt, 13%. Cam Hayward is at 11%, but we know he hasn't played. So they have guys on this defense that can get to the quarterback. So how do you stop that? Well, it's going to be even harder now. You don't have Hubbard. You throw Dillard back in there. Oh, and Cam Hayward coming back. So now you're going to double T.J. Watt, but you have to be aware of what Hayward can do to your offense. And when they send those – Pittsburgh is probably one of the best teams in the National Football League historically with bringing those linebackers and those linebackers winning and getting to the quarterback. Hell, I've seen plenty of them in my days, those linebackers running up the A and B gap or coming off the edge and getting to the quarterback because they do so many things up front to try to confuse the offensive line as well as the quarterback.
It's just crazy that I'm saying this because I wouldn't have thought, let's rewind 4, 5, 6 months ago. How much are the Titans going to miss Chris Hubbard?
I think they're going to miss him a lot because now you got to start rotating guys. You got to start playing guys possibly at positions they're not, that's not where they feel home at, or guys that haven't played much this season. Now you got to insert them at the tackle position. So what do? You switch Nicholas back over to right tackle, or do you leave him at left? More than likely, you're going to put him at right tackle. You put Dillard back at left tackle. Oh, my goodness. And now who do you put at guard? Well, the guard is the same. So to me, the shuffling of the offensive line, that's not good. And I understand why they have to do it because of the injury. But you never, during the season, you never want to shuffle your offensive line. You want to get a group of 5 together and allow them to get better and communicate with one another. Well, we don't know how the communication is going to be. Loud stadium, on a Thursday, on the road. How are those 2 tackles going to hold up when they can't hear anything, coming from the quarterback? So will that be, I think it'll be a benefit to those defensive ends that are rushing the passer. So it's going to be imperative that they communicate across that offensive line, because if they miss anything in translation, that means that the young quarterback is going to either be on his backside or running out of the pocket.
One texter texts in and says, y'all are really acting like this Steeler defense is top 10. Come on, the Texans put 30 up on them. Really?
Again, it's not about this team being a top defense. The Atlanta Falcons was a top 10 defense. What did the Titans do to them? So it's not about the number. That's why I said historically this is a good defense. The numbers doesn't say it, but they get one of the best pass rushers in the National Football League. Not just one of their best pass rushers.
One of the best.
One of the best pass rushers in the National Football League. So you got 2 bookends that are running at your quarterback, linebackers that can get to your quarterback. I am not making up anything. I'm not trying to make it seem as if as if this is the vantage. It's not the Steelers of old, but I think they get better with having Hayward back. That only makes them a better team. Going against an offensive line, people, that frankly isn't good. They have their moments, but this isn't an offensive line that we just don't worry about.
No, I mean, even last week, I thought the offensive line was fine.
But they still gave up their share of pressures and
They
sacks,
absolutely did against a defense that doesn't really blitz.
Exactly.
So let's not act like all of the concerns of this team are automatically alleviated because of what we saw last week. Last week was great. I want to see them build upon what they did last week. But this is going to be a much more difficult test coming up tonight in Pittsburgh. We'll get back into the Titans-Steelers conversation, and we will get back into your phones as well. But Elliot Friedman of Sportsnet and the 32 Thoughts podcast joins us every Thursday, and he will join us coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's Reunion Weekend as Vanderbilt football takes on Auburn at First Bank Stadium. Kickoff at 3, pregame coverage at 1:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 94.9 The Fan and the Fan app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Blue Raider fans, your home for all the MTSU football and men's basketball action is on 93.3 Classic Hits and 95.1 Classic Hits in the borough. Catch the action all season long with Chip Walters on the call. Go Blue Raiders!
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that is MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save many families up to $500 a month, and that is huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. So see what you can save. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE, 855-51-BIBLE.
Now, your Game Center update.
This Game Center update is brought to you by Gary Force Acura, proud sponsor of your Nashville Predators. This is Nick Frazier. The Tennessee Titans take on the Pittsburgh Steelers tonight as Will Levis tries to lead the Titans to another win. The Titans have yet to win a road game this season. The two-tone blue are only averaging 11.3 points in away games this season. The Steelers' defense is allowing, on average, 20.5 points per game at home. With Minkah Fitzpatrick out and defensive lineman Cam Hayward back in the mix, how will the Titans' offense match up against the Steelers' defense? Here was head coach Mike Vrabel on the tough test ahead.
I mean, it's tough. I mean, a day after the game and bringing them in at 12:30, and you never know what you're going to get. But great energy. I thought the guys were buying into the fact that it was Thursday in their minds and just trying to trick ourselves a little bit. So I was really pleasantly surprised about just the energy yesterday.
News out of the NBA, the Memphis Grizzlies lost last night to the Utah Jazz 133-109. The Grizz are still looking for their first win of the season as they look to get a win Friday night against the Portland Trail Blazers. And in the NHL, the Nashville Predators take on the Seattle Kraken tonight with our pregame coverage starting at 8, with puck drop to follow at 9. I'm Nick Frazier, and you're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 1025 and 1063.
79-52 Vanderbilt. And I think he's going to coach him up by Cheryl.
You're going to see more moves.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen,
this is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personalities of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios, and we're streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. Titans in action tonight on Thursday Night Football against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but the Predators also in action tonight against the Seattle Kraken on the road. And joining us now to break it all down is Elliot Friedman of the 32 Thoughts podcast and of Sportsnet. Elliot, always appreciate your time. There's been a lot going on in the hockey world. I want to break that all down with you. But first, I want to focus on here locally. The Predators have been, I think, maybe the poster children for inconsistency. Win a couple, lose a couple, look great in a couple, look not so great in a couple. What do you think is the key to finding consistency? Is it just time?
Well, I think there is that. Like, don't forget, you guys have made some pretty seismic changes on your group, including, the insertion of Ryan O'Reilly, although there's nothing bad at all about that. Luke Shen was supposed to play a big role on your team. He got hurt. Burnett is trying to change the way you guys play a little bit. Some of the younger players are going to get bigger roles. Like, I think the hardest thing in any sport is being good every night. Number one, it's just not possible. And number two, the key is to get there as much as you can. And when you've got young players and you've got people getting used to each other, yes, I do think it takes time. I've seen a lot of that I like, Carolyn, about Nashville so far this season. I think they're you can see they've taken there were times last year I really thought they sagged, and I haven't seen too much of that this year. I mean, you have bad games here and there, but
right.
I mean, look, they're the last team to beat the Rangers. They did it on the road. That was a nice win over Toronto last weekend. I see a lot to like. I just obviously think you're not there yet.
Elliot Friedman is with us. And we're looking at the schedule and the standings. Every time we talk about the standings, we can always couch it by saying, well, it's early. There's a lot of season left. And that's so true. I mean, we're in the beginning of November. I don't think you can be, scouring the standings after every single game. But in your opinion, when is the time that you need to buckle in? When is it no longer too early to be paying attention or too close attention to the standings?
Well, I think that's a great question because I think the NHL is different than a lot of the other leagues when it comes to this. And the reason is the loser point. Now, the league, people in the league have told me they hate it when I call it that, but that's what I call it, the loser point. And so, Carolyn, I keep a stat, and I go to November 1st, at the end of games on November 1st, which was yesterday, and I've done this for about 15 years now. If you are 4 or more points out of the playoffs on November 1st, you make the playoffs somewhere between 10 and 15% of the time. So, like, I'm not a panicker by nature. I agree with you. Look, a lot of teams still have, somewhere between 70 and 72 games, sometimes even 73 or 74 games to go. So it's ridiculous to write them off this early. But the history of this league indicates to you that because of the loser point, where if you get into overtime, you get one, it's very difficult to fall far behind and catch up. And if you look at it at American Thanksgiving, your Thanksgiving, and the number's even higher. It's like basically if you're in a playoff spot at Thanksgiving, you kind of make it like 87% of the time. There are people who keeps track of this. So, like, you guys are not one of the 4 teams that's 4 points are out today. That's Pittsburgh, Edmonton, Calgary, and San Jose. So you're not in that, red alert zone or anything like that. But this is a league where you cannot afford to fall behind too far because of that loser point.
So, Elliot, what you're saying is we need to revisit this right around Thanksgiving, which is, 3 weeks from now? And then we can get a better assessment of not just where the league is at, but where this Nashville Predator team is at. Such a young team mixed with some really good veterans, a new head coach, new GM. So this is right around that Thanksgiving time is the time that we need to really focus in and say, okay, now we got a better assessment of where this team can be or where this team is.
I think that's fair, Derek. I do think that. And I think the other thing, too, is, I think you guys are the only team this year that's made 2 waiver claims. So that says to me that, Barry Trotz is still tinkering around with what he's got and what he thinks he can have. So that says to me there's still opportunities in the lineup for talented young players to find a spot. So I think when you're claiming people on waivers early, it says to me that there's stuff out there that still interests you and that your roster isn't settled yet. And so that says to me the Predators still think they've got a bit of a way to go.
Now, Elliot, because, when you reach, and we had Ryan McDonough on early this week, and we talked about him, in his game, but then talked about Ryan O'Reilly in his 1,000th game that he's played in. Certain milestones mean certain things to certain individuals, but what does that mean to the whole NHL, other guys that are looking at a guy like Ryan O'Reilly?
I first of all, I think that's a great question. For 1,000 games, basically, how tough that game is. Think about it. If you were not going to miss a game, that's 12 and a half seasons. Mm-hmm. Think about how long it takes all these guys to get there. It's a hard thing to do. It says to me that you've been able to stay relatively healthy, and it says to me that you're a really good player. If you play, I'm a big believer, honestly, Derek, if you play one game in the NHL, you're a great player. 1% of the people who start playing hockey make the NHL. So if you play one game, you're a great player. But if you play 1,000, you're an incredible player, and people really see value in you. The thing about Ryan O'Reilly is he's done it as much with his brains as he has with his physical gifts. I think also he's very committed. McDonough and O'Reilly are kind of cut out from the same cloth. They're talented people, but they've made it because of how much they work and how much they take care of themselves and how demanding they are of themselves and others as much as anything else. And, I'll tell you this, I've known some players who got to 990 or 996, and there's nothing to be ashamed of playing 990 or 996 games. But, you don't bring up 1,000 around them because it hurts that they just missed.
Now, you had on your 32 Thoughts podcast one of the, and I can't pronounce his last. Is it Bierner from the Kraken?
Benier?
Yeah, Benier.
Benier.
Excuse you,
Yes.
Matty Benier. You had him on your podcast not too long ago,
Yeah.
talking about discussing their rise. You got a team that's just coming in the league, an expansion team, and all of a sudden they start to win some games. What did you learn from him, and how did this rise occur with this team in regards to them starting to win games?
First of all, Derek, I can't believe you listen to that garbage. I'm very impressed. I have to say.
Hey, I gotta
very
listen to some things. When you come on, I gotta have some things that I listen to.
D-Mase doing his homework.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Derek. I'll say this about them. In their first year, they were really plodding. Like Derek, honestly, it was like a 1970s offense, right? In football, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. That's what they were. And they realized they had to get faster, and they had to get a little more dangerous. And Benier's really helped that. They don't have a lot of players like him. He's one of the youngest players on their team, but he's one of the most skilled players on that team. He's a very creative guy. And I think that's what they did last year. They don't have a dominant line or anything like that. They kind of come at you in waves. But the thing that they in this league, as much as defense is important, it sounds stupid, but you can't win if you can't score. And in their first year, the Kraken couldn't score. Last year at 5-on-5, they were the best scoring team in the league. They come at you in waves. They check you hard, but they really improved their offense. Their gamble they took with Tolvanen, your guy from Nashville, they only played him 11 or 12 minutes a night, but they found a role for him, an offensive role. And I think that's what they did really well. They went out of their way to try to find scorers who were maybe flawed players in other ways, but they could score. And that was a big part of who they were. But they've got great structure. Everybody is where they're supposed to be, and they usually don't beat themselves.
Elliot Friedman of the 32 Thoughts podcast and of Sportsnet is with us. We called him Wheelin' and Dealin' David Poyle. I think maybe we can call Barry waiver claiming Barry Trotz with some of the waiver claims that he's put in. But have you heard any potential trade buzz coming out of Nashville?
I haven't heard a lot. As earlier in the year, I mentioned to you, I heard Garland's name from Vancouver, and then I threw cold water on that. Shen's injury kind of, you needed some of your D, and then I heard that I wasn't so convinced that Nashville wanted to do that anyway. I haven't heard a ton about the Predators, but like I said, by claiming the two young players on waivers, Trotz has indicated that he's interested in trying things. I think the other thing, too, is, you guys have some flexibility, right? So you guys can do some things to help others. But I know that one of the teams that's most eager to make moves is Vancouver, but they don't want to have to toss in a sweetener, like a draft pick or a prospect to get a deal done. So unless you're willing to make a hockey deal with them, I don't know that there's a fit. Interesting.
Now, looking a little bit big picture, we saw a horrific tragedy last week in the Elite Ice Hockey League in the UK. Adam Johnson. I know that the WHL has now required that all players wear protective neck gear. What has the conversation been in the NHL, and can you see maybe some similar mandates and rules be enacted in the NHL?
Well, the first thing, Carolyn, is that I should explain the way it works in the NHL. The league can't just say, okay, everybody put on neck guards. When it comes to equipment that players wear, the players have a say. When helmets came in, it was put in a way that if you were an existing player, you didn't have to wear them. When visors came in, same thing. If you were an existing player, you didn't have to wear them. But eventually everybody did. So the hockey way has always kind of been make it mandatory at some of the lower levels so that people get used to it. There's 3 junior leagues in Canada, Ontario, Quebec, and the West. And the West was the only one that didn't have it mandatory. The other 2 did. Now they do. In the American Hockey League, where you guys have the team in Milwaukee, actually the players don't have the same power. So last summer, actually, at the NHL's request, the AHL made it mandatory that players had to wear cut-resistant socks and wrist guards. Now, the thing I've noticed about this is after that injury last weekend, there is definitely a lot of NHL players. Like if you look now, like Erik Karlsson's wearing it in Pittsburgh. Tom Wilson today of Washington, one of the league's toughest players, he was wearing it in practice. And we're starting to see some more players skate with them. So I think eventually this will get worked out. But it's going to be a bit of a slower process. I do get a sense, though, that the players, Caroline, are saying we should lead on this one because kids do what we do. And I think there are players who do have that feeling. The biggest problem, Carolyn, is that there still isn't a lot of supply of these neck guards. Like a lot of them, you have to buy them and sew them in. There aren't their own kind of standalone product, although I've been told that's changing. I learned a lot more about this than I ever thought I would. Apparently, there's about 15 kinds of cut-resistant socks, and there's about 10 kinds of cut-resistant wrist guards, but there's only about 3 kinds of cut-resistant neckwear, and people usually order them before the season. They're not so in stock right now. Like I had an equipment manufacturer say to me the other day, I've never seen anything like this before. We're getting an order online every 20 seconds. So the good news is that people are seeing this, including NHL players, and saying, you know what, we'd better wear the protection. The bad news is I just don't think there's a lot of supply yet, and now they're working on how do we fix that. I think the other thing I'd say, just to anybody out here who plays hockey in the Nashville area, and I know your kids' leagues and your men's leagues and your women's leagues and your fun leagues are thriving, wear it. I know one thing the players have said to me in the last few days is in the last 5 years, the quality of these neck guards has really improved. They used to be really uncomfortable or really hot. Now, first of all, that's no longer a good enough excuse, but the quality of the stuff has improved. In the NHL right now, if, God forbid, somebody gets cut, the trainers know what to do, the doctors know what to do, they're all right there, and you can't have a game unless there's, at least an ambulance at the arena. Like if it ever happens in an NHL game, they are so fast, like with Evander Kane last year, those trainers and doctors and EMTs, they know exactly what to do. They're so good, it's like clockwork. If this happens to you at, say, some rink in Nashville where you play, chances are there's not going to be that infrastructure there to help you out. So if you're like a recreational hockey player or a youth hockey player or whatever in the Nashville area, put this stuff on because, God forbid something you get cut, there's not going to be the infrastructure there to help you.
So you can see more guys wearing this next season or toward the latter part of the season than you see now, basically because of the demand, and there's not enough supply at this point.
Yes, I think you'll like TJ Oshie of Washington owns a company that makes this stuff, and he said that he's sold out. Like he's on back order now. So the moment these things become available, I think you're going to see more and more players wearing them, and eventually I think there will be a move to mandate them at some point.
Devastating that something so tragic had to happen in order to kind of enact this kind of change, but also admirable of NHL players to know the impact that they have in every single level of the game. But in another scenario, much less tragic, another scenario of learning by example is Shane Pinto. Of course, we learned that he'll be suspended for 41 games, and when you were with us last week, you mentioned that it was a third party that was using his account, and that's what he got busted for. What's the latest on that? And we're hearing that there are some NHL players coming forward asking questions of, is what I'm doing okay? Am I in the right? Am I in the wrong? What's kind of been the latest with the Shane Pinto situation and gambling in the NHL as a whole?
Well, I think that one of the things that I think has definitely happened, Caroline, is that there were a lot of players either phoning their agents or asking their teams, like the general manager or the Players Association, what exactly do I have to know here? Like I had a couple call me, like say, what do you know? Like just tell me what you know, because believe it or not, I'm sure you guys believe it, but I'm sure people might be surprised. There's a lot of players across all sports who legally gamble on things. They all have a lot of them have, I shouldn't say all, but a lot of them have betting accounts. A lot of them play fantasy football or masters pools like we all do. And they were all trying to figure out what exactly occurred. Like, I know the Players Association set up some Zoom calls for players to get on this week to say, okay, you need to talk about this. And, you know, the one thing I think, Carolyn, is it was more than one thing. I believe that now. It was more than one thing. But, you know, one of the things they kind of talked about was they told players, and this doesn't necessarily mean that Pinto was guilty of these things, but these were the kinds of things that they told players about. You know, don't share your betting account. Like, if you have it, it's only for you. Don't give it to anyone else. Don't bet on hockey in any way, whether it's a game or even a prop bet. If a friend calls you and says, hey, you know, just use an example, Ryan McDonough, you're plus 350 to score a goal tonight. What do you think? Don't laugh or joke with them. Like, call them, tell them never to do that again. And if they can't handle that, like, just cut them out of your life. And don't share any insider injury information. And don't bet illegally, like using a bookmaker or anything like that. Like it seems like kind of common sense, but maybe sometimes people need a refresher. Like, the fun stuff that we all do, like fantasy football and legal wagering, there was no problem with any of that. I think the issue was that it got into some gray areas, and his friends took advantage of him a bit, and that's where the trouble was.
Yeah, and that's a shame. And I think that we've seen it here, at least in Tennessee, when sports gambling became legal, like 3 years ago now? Yeah. It's become so ingrained into just everyday sports life.
It's normal now.
It's so normal,
Yep.
whereas even just 5 years ago, it was taboo. You couldn't even mention a spread or placing a bet. I mean, now it's plastered all over networks across the country. It's crazy how things have changed so drastically. And now that we're seeing it kind of come to fruition in every league in America. But Elliot Friedman...
Yeah, that's totally true. The only people who could mention it were Brett Musburger and Al Michaels, and they had to do it in code, so we all understood.
Yeah, exactly. They were the only ones that were excused. But Elliot Friedman of the 32 Thoughts podcast and the Sportsnet. Elliot, always appreciate your insight. Thank you for stopping by. We'll chat with you next week.
All right, guys. Have yourselves a great weekend. Enjoy.
Yep, you do the
Are
same.
you watching the Titans tonight, Elliot?
Of course.
I knew
I've
it.
worked in Toronto, Boston, but I'll have an eye. I love Derrick Henry. Like, when I was a kid, I loved Earl Campbell. I like big, strong running backs, so I'm a big Derrick Henry guy.
All right. I think he's a big fan of you, too.
I'm big like, who's that? That's nice of you to say.
All right. Thanks, Elliot. Have a good rest of your week.
Take care, guys.
Yep.
Elliot Friedman, he is the very best. All right, coming up next, we mentioned it, Titans and Steelers tonight on Thursday Night Football. We'll give our official predictions and final thoughts on this game coming up next. Caroline, Willy. Conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet.
He breaks down every game.
The players are still going to be fine.
And knows the ins and outs of the two-tone blue.
They deal with their own position coaches.
He is ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter Teron Davenport.
It's clear what he's doing.
TD joins every Monday at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast.
I think that's really cool how he could show both sides.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Put Lee Company on your team and stay ahead of the game with home maintenance, improvements, and repairs. For only $12 per month, you'll receive 4 visits to your home each year by an experienced technician and discounts on service calls, parts, and labor. You'll also receive priority service with no emergency service rates. Let Lee Company keep your air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, and heating systems in tip-top shape. Visit LeeCompany.com today and schedule your first appointment online. Lee Company, all you need.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad.
No problem, sweetie.
I can't believe you're able to fit everything in that little sedan.
Bye.
When they move out, you can move on to a house that fits your life. It's time to live in a space that fits your family.
Let Regal Realty Group get you into a home that is less to take care of. Save money or even make money on the sale of your current home. Get more info at regalrg.com.
Get ready to dig into the future of construction. Look no further than Parman Tractor and Equipment. They've got the power and precision you need with link belt excavators, where red means go. Whether you're looking to rent or buy, link belt excavators are known for reliability and performance. When you see that red and gray machine on the job site, you know it's time to get things done. Parman Tractor's team offers unparalleled service. Visit parmantractor.com and get in the dirt with employee owners of Parman, where red means go. Don't miss out on totally outrageous customer service.
In any work environment, culture is the most important thing. And what makes up the culture? The people. Hey, this is General Manager Sean Ford with Cromwell Media. And this month, we have several celebrating their anniversary working with us. From our sales department, Nicola Spencer is celebrating 19 years. From engineering, Ted and Holly, 13 years. And Willie Donick with 102.5 The Game is celebrating 12 years with us at Cromwell Media. If you're looking for a new career, reach out to us at together@cromwellmedia.com. Love what you do, love where you work.
Brian Regan.
I heard some states carry out capital punishment at 7 o'clock in the morning. Talk about cruel. Is that guy supposed to get some sleep the night before? Yeah, I think I'm going to hit the rack, get some shut-eye. Yeah, got a short day tomorrow.
Brian Regan live on stage, June 19th, Ryman Auditorium. Tickets on sale Friday, November 3rd, 10 a.m. at Ryman.com. Sponsored by PNC Bank and AXS, proud partners of Ryman Auditorium.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's reunion weekend as Vanderbilt football takes on Auburn at First Bank Stadium. Kickoff at 3, pregame coverage at 1:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 94.9 The Fan and the Fan app.
Hey Nashville, this is Vanderbilt football head coach Clark Lee. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. Hey, tomorrow, Robbie and Rexroad and the Chase and Big Joe shows will be live for the grand opening of a new Dunkin' location at 14835 Lebanon Road in Old Hickory. 102.5 The Game will be on site from 6 to 11 a.m. and have your chance to win tickets to an upcoming Nashville concert. Plus, there will be a ton of giveaways. Titans on Thursday Night Football tonight. We get to see Will Levis, Game 2. And I know that the expectations have absolutely skyrocketed. When last week the conversation was, everybody be nice, okay? You know, we're gonna grade on a curve here. We're gonna temper our expectations. Rookie quarterback making his NFL debut. It might not look pretty, but let's just hope we can see some good things for the future. Yeah, okay. Goes out there and throws 4 freaking touchdowns. It's not fair to expect Will Levis to do that tonight. It's not fair to expect Will Levis to do that every single week, but nor is Will Levis's entire evaluation going to be solely based on tonight. I expect him to struggle. D-Mase, you've been saying all week, you expect him to throw a pick.
Yeah, I mean, you don't expect him to go out there and just because you know how, we've watched this league long enough and hey, you may go on a run for 3 or 4 games and everything looks great, and then all of a sudden, boom, the bottom falls out. Does that mean that your team is bad or you're a bad player? No, it just means that, hey, you had a bad game, and let's see how you then, come back after having a bad game. So, for Levis, it's, I expect him. Would I love for him to go out and throw 4 touchdowns again? Absolutely. Would the organization love that? Of course they would. But they know,
win the game.
Yeah, they know that. Listen, things are not going to be the way they were last week. We're playing a different opponent, different players, different scheme. So things are going to, now they have some tape on us, on you, Will. So now we need to, some things will stay the same in regards to play calling, but we need to kind of mix it up a little bit, disguise some things, because that's what they're going to do to you as a quarterback. So, listen, he's going to have his moments, but then he's going to have his moments where he looks like a rookie quarterback. So I don't think the Titans plan for him moving forward will change regardless. If he goes out there and plays another game like he did last week, or if he goes out there and sort of comes back to earth. I think their plan is still to, go forward with him and allow him to grow within his offense and allow the people around him to grow with him. So, I want to see a good game, but, more than likely we're going to get a game where he struggles at times. Because last week it didn't seem like he struggled at all. Everything it seemed like he did worked.
Seemed like everything, obviously easier for me to say than for him to do, but it seemed like things just came very effortlessly.
Yeah, and that's because of, he probably saw things a little bit clearer. He had a couple of weeks to game plan. And from what I'm gathering, he was locked in. He was locked in from the moment, Ryan knew he couldn't go during that bye week. He was locked in, focused on the Atlanta Falcons. Now, how do you come back on a short week and play against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are going to give you different looks from a defensive standpoint, not just up front. They're going to give you different looks on the back end with those corners and safeties.
I've made a list of the people, factors, position groups that I think are the most important for Will Levis to just have, a solid game. For Will Levis to be protected and for the Titans to have an opportunity to go out there and win the football game. I mean, that's what Mike Vrabel told us. They want to win games. D-Hop, Derrick Henry, offensive line, Tim Kelly. Who's the most important factor for Will Levis tonight? They're all important.
They're all important. The offensive line is very important. I think that's number one. You got to be able to protect in order to run your offense. You got to be able to run block in order to, open some things up in the pass game. So let's just set that aside because the offensive line is the most important part of what they need to do. If they block well, then it's more than likely Will have an okay game. I'm not going to say he's going to have a great game, but at least you're giving him a chance if you're blocking. If not, then you know what it's going to be more than likely. He may struggle. But to me, it all goes back to Tim Kelly. Tim Kelly, short week. How did you prepare this young man in such a short week? Did you, because this is what happens in this league. In a short week, you're preparing for your opponent, Atlanta, but you also are preparing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, it's not as in-depth as you are with Atlanta, but because you got a bye week, you can prepare for both. So I'm sure there were times and periods in the off week where, probably, start to practice period 3. Pittsburgh. This is Pittsburgh's defense. I'm telling you, this is what they were saying. We're going against Pittsburgh's defense. This is Pittsburgh's defense for period number 3 because they had a bye week. They weren't playing nobody. Yeah, they're planning for Atlanta, but they're still preparing themselves for such a short week. Whether it was Ryan Tannehill or now Will Levis, they had to get some type of game plan in for Pittsburgh because they would be coming off such a short week. So period 3. Of the bye week, this is Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh's defense. Period 8, all Pittsburgh defense, red zone defense. So they did some things in that bye week that prepared Will Levis for Pittsburgh. He had to put that in the back of his mind because he knew they were playing Atlanta. Now you pick back up in such a short week. So it's up to Tim Kelly to put together a game plan, a simple but clean game plan for this young man so he can go out there and be the best version of himself that he can possibly be. The one thing you don't want to do with the young quarterback, you can do it with Ryan Tannehill. You can just throw, because you know it.
Go out there and do your thing.
Yeah, you've seen Pittsburgh 100 times.
Right.
You still got a game plan. But for a young quarterback, things need to be clean for him. There need not to be all of this other trickery and all this. No. I need a clean game plan. What do you like, Will? What don't you like? We're taking all that stuff out. We're putting in things that you like, that you feel comfortable with in such a short week. So to me, This game is about Tim Kelly and how he calls this game for Will Levis.
And I think that's probably tough for an offensive coordinator, for a rookie quarterback that you are still kind of learning.
Yeah.
But I also look at Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins. I think that those two are going to be, his absolute best friends in every single game moving forward throughout the rest of the season. Kind of his bailout guys, the support guys that he knows that he can trust.
But that all boils down to how Tim Kelly calls the game.
Yeah, true, fair.
So that's why I put Tim Kelly, on the top. But then, like you said, Derrick Henry and D-Hop, they need to be the two guys that he can depend on. But Tim Kelly needs to be the guy that sets it all up and make it all flow together. The calls all flow together.
And the offensive line, of course, the offensive line is important, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
You don't have Chris Hubbard out there. Andre Dillard's going to be out there going up against this Pittsburgh defensive front. It's important, and you want to protect the quarterback, absolutely. But it is what it is, unfortunately, and it's just not very good.
No, it's not.
Let's get into some of your thoughts. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. One texter texts in says, if Levis can play decent against this defense, win or lose, the Titans can say that they have a quarterback. Pittsburgh, with their aggression and with what seems to be one of the most violent defenses in the game, maybe Levis can escape unscathed. Just facts. I would applaud the Titans fan base for saying, hey, win or lose, we just want to see what we got in the young guy. But I don't think it's fair to say, and I want your thoughts on this, D-Mase, I don't think it's fair to say that if he has a decent game tonight, then the Titans can say they have a quarterback. You can't evaluate a guy off of 2 games. You can't say he's great or awful or the guy of the future based off of 2 games. I think we all think he can be the guy of the future. He should be the guy of the future. I don't think they traded up in the second round for him to not be the future. But I'm not ready to say anything definitive about Will Levis just based off of 2 games.
No, you can't say whether, he's going to be the next Peyton Manning or is he going to be Achilles Smith, Ryan Leaf, just name Marcus Mariota. Just name some of these quarterbacks that careers never got going. Regardless if they had a bad game or a good game, their careers just never got going. So you can't tell that by 1 or 2 games. Again, I think it's a situation where we just want to see you get better. Do we want to win the game? Absolutely. But I think for this young quarterback, the most important thing is, how do I call games for him? And then how does he react to certain adversity that's going to come? If you get back up, shake it off, brush it off, and get back underneath center and be ready to go, then okay, I think we got something. But if you start to get frazzled a little bit, then okay, maybe I need to dial some things back. Maybe I just need to rely solely on, Derrick Henry running the football and allow that to open up things. But yeah, you can't, whether, Will goes out there and play a great game or he goes out there and come back down to earth, you can't say he's our franchise or he's not based upon 2 games. It's going to take the remainder of these games. That's why I said once Ryan Tannehill got hurt in that Baltimore game, he will never see the light of day underneath center again, Ryan Tannehill. And it's not because I don't think Ryan Tannehill can play. I think Ryan Tannehill could go some other team and be a starter. But once that young man stepped underneath center, this is your future. Yeah. Once he stepped underneath center, it was his. You don't go back. You got to stay there because Ryan wasn't playing well anyway. And the team wasn't, doing anything anyway. So put that young guy in, and hey, this is yours moving. This is your team moving forward.
You're not a bust or a future Super Bowl MVP based off of 1 game.
No, but I do hope we have a Brock Purdy star.
I would love that. That'd be great.
Absolutely.
I would love if we could see if he's Tom Brady or not. And I would like if he was Tom Brady. That'd be fantastic. Dylan texts in with a question for you, D-Mase. Says, what did you think of Will Levis's command of the huddle on Sunday and how he seemed to audible plays?
I thought it was fantastic. That's one of the things that I was truly impressed by. Because we knew he had the big arm. I didn't need to see him throw the ball deep to know he had a big arm. I saw enough of it in college, saw it a little bit in the preseason. I saw it in practices. The kid has a big arm, so I wasn't impressed. You did something that I knew you can do, so why am I impressed with it? You know? That's
he said he has a cannon.
Exactly. That's like my son.
Self-proclaimed cannon.
That's like my son. It's like, yeah, I know you are a very smart and intelligent kid. So I'm not impressed with the A. You know, because I knew you had it in you.
You hear that, DJ?
Yeah, I'm not impressed, but I love it. Yeah. But it's not like, whoa, you got an A. Oh my goodness. It's the same with Will Levis.
That's the expectation.
I saw you throw. That's the expectation. You got a big arm. This is what scouts, salivated about in regards to you. The big arm, make every throw. But I was most impressed by his ability to command the huddle. His ability to seem as if nothing was bothering him. He had this calmness that I think you need to have as a quarterback. Again, he didn't get too high, didn't get too low. He just played at an even keel. That even keel was a damn good game, but he just played at that level that I think all quarterbacks need to play at.
And it was the confidence, calmness, and maturity. That win or lose the Falcons game, great that they won. Of course, obviously, we've said that all week, that 3-4 versus 2-5 feels like two very, very different positions to be in this current AFC South. But it was how Will Levis carried himself that I thought was really impressive.
So tell me, would you have thought any different of him if Atlanta goes down and they score? If Van Jefferson catches the ball and they put themselves in a position to win that game, do you feel any different about Will Levis?
No, I don't. I think win or lose. Maybe the fan base feels a little bit different. Or maybe the fan base feels, hey, with a performance like that and your defense still can't get a stop, like, my goodness. I wouldn't have thought any different of him. Win or lose, just simply what Will Levis did, how he did it, and with the level of confidence that he did it with. That was so impressive to me, regardless of the score.
Now, what I do want to see from him is 2 minute. I do want to see a 2-minute drill in him.
He struggled a little bit in 2 minutes.
So that's what I want to see from him. Because the Titans will get in a situation where I think they're going to have to use 2 minutes in some point of the game, or they're going to go hurry up. I want to see how does he handle that as a quarterback.
We will give our official predictions coming up next, plus best bets of the weekend with Ali Milnicki of Zen Sports. Coming up next, Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Whether it's college football,
players might end up not going to Alabama or Georgia,
or the NFL.
I think that this team wins the AFC South.
Trevor knows. Join ESPN's Trevor Maddich every Tuesday at 4:30 on Stillman and Company as he gives his opinions on the latest from the gridiron.
I'm going to the team where I can get a ring.
Trevor Maddich brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, where experience matters, on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The holidays are a time of celebration and Thanksgiving. It's a time to host friends and family in your home to enjoy good food and good times. The last thing you need is an unexpected issue. If you're planning a gathering this season, take a few minutes to bring out the home experts from Lee Company. For heating, plumbing, electrical, and all your home improvement needs, Lee Company has you covered. Visit LeeCompany.com today and schedule your first appointment online. Lee Company, all you need.
At Mercedes-Benz of Music City, a healthy and productive culture takes a day-to-day discipline. Here's Sam Cavett, General Manager, with a few thoughts.
Mercedes-Benz has its standard, and we have Dream Motor Group standards. They're definitely on the same level, but I feel like we challenge ourselves at least as much as Mercedes-Benz challenges us. It's a genuine motivation to take care of customers, and we see it in the customer reviews.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
Nashville's Best Deals is a great place to save cash fast. Get up to half off or more on dining and entertainment at thegamenashville.com/deals. Check back often for new featured deals and save money now at thegamenashville.com/deals.
SEC basketball lives right here in Nashville, and you don't want to miss out as the Vanderbilt Commodores tip off the season. With a variety of budget-friendly ticket options, you can be there for all of the Memorial Magic. Led by SEC Coach of the Year Jerry Stackhouse, the men's team hosts home games against Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, and a whole lot more. And Coach Shea Ralph and the women's squad will take the court against the likes of LSU, Tennessee, and Ole Miss. For tickets or more information, go to VUCommodores.com or call 877-44-VANDY.
It's time to celebrate this fall and unleash the beast. Monster Brewing proudly presents to you Beast Unleashed. 0 caffeine, 0 sugar, all the adult beverage fun. The Beast is unleashed with great taste, bold familiar flavors, and 6% alcohol. Go wild with Mean Green, White Haze, Peach Perfect, and Scary Berries. Don't fear the Beast. Enjoy Beast Unleashed at your next tailgate or football party. Drink responsibly. Must be 21 and over.
Keeping it local.
The Titans get a big win. Well, Derrick Henry's on the field. It's like, all right, what's going to happen?
And fun.
Bad time to get Florida. They're going to be mad.
Oh, my goodness.
Every day, it's Chase McCabe.
I was sitting here going, I think I'm going to watch Batman 1989 tonight.
And Big Joe Dubin.
That's your plan for tonight? Probably, yeah. I need a night.
The Chase and Big Joe Show. Brought to you by Regal Realty Group. Weekdays at 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Titans on Thursday Night Football tonight, and joining us now for the best bets of the night is our friend Allie Milnicki of Zen Sports. Allie, appreciate you for joining us, and we speak with you every week about Thursday Night Football, but now it is Thursday Night Football with our home team, Tennessee Titans, on the road with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers, 2.5-point home favorites. Do you think Will Levis can have a repeat performance of last week? Can the Titans get it done?
I don't know about this one. The Steelers have one of the most underrated defensive units. That's a tough front seven led by T.J. Watt. I know Levis looked great last week against Atlanta, but Atlanta's defense is a totally different horse to Pittsburgh. Playing in Heinz Field for a rookie in front of a big crowd on a prime time, it's going to be a lot of pressure. I think if I have a lean, it's going to be the under on this one. We know the Steelers can't score that well as well. We don't know what's going on with their quarterback situation. Is it Kenny Pickett? Is it Mitch Trubisky? I don't know either way, but I think my strong lean would be the under tonight.
Over under 36.5, low, but I would probably agree with you. Two offenses that have been struggling. Will Levis, still want to see more from him, as great as his debut was. But Najee Harris and Derrick Henry, both with pretty good odds for anytime touchdown scorers tonight. Derrick Henry plus 145, Najee Harris plus 195. In the battle of the running backs, who would you give the edge to get into the end zone tonight?
I'm going to go with Derrick Henry. I think also take some pressure off Will Levis. Give Derrick Henry the ball. Let him create some space. Get a lot of second and shorts, third and shorts when you get to the goal line. Just hope for no interceptions, no mistakes. Feed Henry the ball, and he'll get in the goal.
Now, Allie, I am so upset with the NFL for this one. The Dolphins and the Chiefs, they sent it over to Germany. I understand why they're doing it, but this is a primetime game, and we're going to be able to we got to watch it at 8:30 in the morning. But over under here, 51 points. Are you taking the over, or are you a little bit concerned about the Chiefs' passing offense because of all the drops?
Well, you guys get to sleep in. I'm in Los Angeles, so I got to be up at 6:30
Oh, my
to watch.
goodness.
Early morning.
I have a toddler, so she'll have me up anyway. But, yeah, this is one you want to go with the shootout with the 51. But I don't know. Some of these overseas games, it's tough for the players to get adapted to the time difference. These are two high-octane offenses, especially Miami's. But the thing with the Chiefs is it's a very underrated defensive unit. This game reminds me of when the Bills played Miami after Miami put up 70 on Denver and the Bills just shut them down. I like the Chiefs to both cover on this one, and I'd actually lean under.
Now, another game that everyone's going to be watching, the Cowboys and the Eagles. Are you taking the points with the Eagles or taking the points with the Cowboys? I think Cowboys are +3. Eagles are -3 in this one. Are you taking the points in the Cowboys?
Well, as a Giants fan, I wish they would both find a way to lose this game. But if I had to take one, this is a team that these are two teams that are so evenly matched. I don't think Philadelphia is the same team despite their record as they were last year. You've seen a lot of close games with them, especially the two against Washington. This one, I think the Cowboys play their best game. We saw them just blow out the Rams last week. I think they come prepared. This is a fierce rivalry. Whoever wins it, whether it's the Cowboys or the Eagles, I think it's going to come down to a field goal at the end. I think it's going to be a shootout through the air. I would lean both the over on this one, and I'd like the Cowboys to cover that 3 points.
Last one for you, Allie. Buffalo Bills and Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday Night Football this weekend. That is maybe a newer rivalry that I have absolutely loved every single year. Who do you like that one in the AFC Showdown?
I think it's hard to pick against the Bengals right now. Everyone kind of wrote them off early in the season when they had that struggle start. But look at them the last few games. They just completely dismantled the 49ers last week. Brock Purdy looked like a backup quarterback, especially toward the end of the game. I think it's hard to go against the Bengals right now. The Bills, they just tend to be inconsistent. Their defense has really struggled after losing Milano and Tre'Davious White for the year. I think Joe Burrow is going to put up big numbers. T. Higgins came back to life last week. So this one, I think it's going to end up like it did in the playoffs last year. Bengals win and cover.
Allie Milnicki of Zen Sports. Allie, we always appreciate your time every single week. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, guys.
All right, appreciate it. All right, D-Mase, let's get into our predictions. What do you expect to see from the Titans tonight?
I expect to see the defense, that defensive front, stop the Pittsburgh Steelers from running the football. Can the back end take away some of the big plays that Pittsburgh is capable of making with those skilled guys? I'm looking for the Titans to run the football first, run it second, run it third, try to take as much as they can off the young man's plate, meaning Will Levis. I think this is a game that you play in a phone booth. And when you get your opportunities to throw it down the field, play action, that's when you do it. But you have to be protection conscious in this game, which may put you in a position where you're running the football more this game. Again, playing in a phone booth. This is how Pittsburgh and the Titans play. This is how the Titans in Baltimore play, inside of a phone booth. So if you make it that type of game, lean on Derrick Henry heavy, protection conscious, that's what I'm looking for from Tim Kelly and his Titans offense. And then obviously Shane Bowen in the defense, what I said.
I don't want to see another repeat of the Cleveland Browns game where Myles Garrett just took over the game. You didn't run the ball. Ryan Tannehill was on his butt the entire game. I don't want to see that. I want to see some protection from T.J. Watt, which, of course, is easier said than done. He's going to be able to get to Will Levis. That is going to happen. But how can you stay consistent and stay committed to the run game and at least try to not let T.J. Watt take over the game? I think it's tough for me to pick the Titans tonight. It really is. I was so impressed with Will Levis and what I saw in week 1. But I'm also going to be realistic here and understand that there's going to be games, there's going to be times, plays, games as a whole, where Will Levis struggles. We might see him struggle tonight. Short week, on the road, tough defense, tough place to play. I'm taking the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this one 20-13.
Ooh, man. I think the Titans, I think they're going to play well enough to win, but I just think it's going to be what they're doing, what they are potentially going to do from a defensive standpoint, meaning Pittsburgh, confusion, bringing pressure, not having Hubbard out there, really testing that offensive line. I just think it's going to be too much. I think the young man is going to have his ups and downs, meaning Will Levis. I think we're going to come out of this game still feeling good about him, but I don't think they're going to get the win. I think the Titans lose this game. I think Pittsburgh wins 20-17.
So we both think fairly low-scoring game. I do think if they can stay committed to running the ball with Derrick, even when it's not pretty, because it's not going to be pretty. Like, it's not going to be Derrick Henry for double-digit pickups per carry. If Derrick Henry can run for 100 yards, I think the Titans have a chance of winning this game.
Yeah, if Derrick Henry gets over 100 yards, I predict they win the game. If he gets, say if he ends up like last week, 25 to 30 carries, 115, 20 yards, maybe a touchdown, he would have to get a touchdown, I think.
Yeah.
I think the Titans win this game. Why? Because they control the clock. They take the pressure off the young quarterback and put it on the veteran running back in that offensive line. That's why I said they got to be conscious, protection conscious, and lean heavy. This is a game where you may not see a lot of catches on the outside.
Right.
This may be played between the from tackle to tackle. I think if they do that, Derrick gets over 25, 30 carries, that 115, 20 yards, a touchdown, they have a chance to win this game. A very good chance.
I'm fine with Derrick getting the ball 30 times.
Yeah.
I'm totally
Short
fine
week,
with that.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that we have seen when Derrick Henry gets the ball 20-plus times, you win. Got the ball 22 times last week for over 100 yards. You won the football game. Derrick Henry is still Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry still commands respect from a defense that gives you an overwhelming advantage.
But this is an opportunity, too, for Tim Kelly to use both Derrick Henry and Tajay Spears in different ways. You got to be conscious of using both of them, using Spears at a certain time, but relying heavy on Derrick Henry for the tough yards, but then bringing Spears in for the change of pace, getting outside the tackles, getting in between. That speed will hurt that front line of the that defensive front of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Taking the Steelers to win this one. Prove me wrong.
Please do.
Prove me wrong. Titans in prime time tonight. Predators also in action in Seattle tonight as well. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. with a full Titans breakdown. Stillman and Company is up next.
Be love and love on your people. Peace.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's reunion weekend at Vanderbilt football.